period in the history, and the mineral consumption is only expected to rise in the coming years too. And to meet the requirement from the flagship projects undertaken by the government of India like Atmanirbhar Bharat. A well-developed non-ferrous metal industry is equally required since it provides critical raw material to several sectors that are critical to the country, and it's very, very important for the economic development. India may expect a paradigm shift in the way the non-ferrous metals are produced and used in the future as the use of non-ferrous metal grows in the varieties of present and emerging application along with the new technologies and the transformation. The government project Made in India strategy, which aims to expand manufacturing proposition of GDP from 17% to 25% by the year end 2025, is projected to provide a very big boost in the economy, in the manufacturing segment, and which also will emerge as a very big opportunity for the from the skill and the employment point of view. As we all know that the government has these designated 25 sectors, including auto, power, defense, that have been considerable application for various non-ferrous metal as a part of this plan. The metal recycling policy, which the government has formulated in collaboration with the industry stakeholder, would address much needed reforms on rules or criteria for expanding demand the indigenous product metal recycling and other products. The government responsibility lies on creating policies, initiative, making the process of doing the business easier. But at the same time, industry must also invest in high value items to produce both domestic and for the international market, and try to grab this opportunity, because we all know during the pandemic there has been a huge transformation in the thought ideas, and with the growing demand in the metal sector, I see there is an immense opportunity across globe, and India is one of the fantastic place where we can create this opportunity and participate in this forum. The non-ferrous metal industry extensively reliance on the metal scrap import is one of the industry major concern. As a result, uh, the trend, the boosting metal recycling, including metal cycling in the formal sector, can help to reduce the scrap import in the country, because we all know we have immense resources in the country like iron ore, coal, and if we are able to develop this sector exponentially, then we can save huge forex reserve and also will help us to create a lot of employment in the sector. The ICC, even in these trying times, through its webinar, has been very, very actively involved in sharing the knowledges regarding the different sector in the economy as well as the different aspect of the businesses. Today, this webinar is organized as an attempt to understand the dynamics of the minerals and the metal industry across the value chain of the economy. With these few words, I once again welcome all our eminent guests, speakers, and look forward to a engaging discussion and interaction to add value to this forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate. It was really such a positive speech to start this forum. And now I would request Mr. KC Das, Chairman and MD, Vizag Steel to make his address.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Nilanjan Chaudhary. Distinguished guest present here, Mr. Sinha, representing Jharkhand State, Mr. A.K. Sudha, CMD Hindustan Copper Limited, Mr. B.R. Sharma, Managing Director, JSPL, Mr. Deepak Prasad, Chief Operating Officer, Metal, Vedanta Limited, Jharsuguda, Mr. Brij Bhushan, Committee Metals and Minerals and Metals, distinguished official from the government, captain of the industries, esteemed delegates, representative of the print and electronic media, ladies and gentlemen, all of you. It gives me immense pleasure to be present here at the 10th India Minerals Metal Forum and share my thoughts in the session on future potential of ferrous and non-ferrous metal industries. I can see the leaders from the non-ferrous industry are present here. So that is the reason I wanted to restrict my views on the ferrous and the ferrous industry and its bright prospect. It would not have been more appropriate than today, when the steel industry is fully poised to sell steady in its growth trajectory. As you know, the steel industries has been growing significantly during the last few years, and a major achievement India has overtaken when India overtaken Japan to become the world's second largest producer of steel way back in 2018, February 2018 precisely. Further to that also, as you know that Government of India has formulated National Steel Policy 2017, which has been recently evolved, which provides the requisite policy framework to unearth and untap potential of the industries. As you know, NSP 2017 aspired to achieve a crude steel capacity of 300 million ton and the per capita consumption of the steel of 160 kg from the current level of consumption of around 75 kg. It's a huge jump that has been, envisaged in the steel policy 2017. Definitely, this would translate into progressive additional investment of 10 lakh crores by 2031. The employment generation will also increase significantly to about 36 lakhs by the same time, 2031, from the current level of 25 lakhs. There's a huge gap of around 11 lakhs employment generation, which will happen if the steel capacity, the 300 million ton, is achieved by 2031. The policy creates focus through well-identified objectives that comprehensively address all the critical factors relevant to the growth and competitiveness of India's steel industries. The Indian economy has been almost among the fastest growing economy in the world, and despite the slowdown, as you have seen, that first phase of COVID-19, so also the second phase of that COVID-19, which is currently on. It is expected to return to normalcy quickly. The gross fixed capital formation accelerated by 12,000 Q1 2021 when compared to Q4 of 2020. The growth in progress gross fixed capital formation indicates that investment is resurgent despite this pandemic, which has impacted the globe for last 1.5 years, and nobody knows what will happen for another 6 months also. The experts say that third wave may come in the month of November. That can also happen in the month of February also. This is the scenario where our steel industries are operating, both ferrous and non-ferrous industries operating. The slowdown in the sector due to the pandemic has therefore been a temporary phenomenon, I should say, and there is no cause of concern. Indian steel industry has already established a recovery to unearth its growth potential in spite of all the odds which I was just mentioning about the first wave, second and third wave. But our industries are doing well. and whatever concerns are there, those have been taken care of duly. The long-term benefits of demonetization and GST have started paying dividends. India's GDP is expected to grow at the level of 9% to 10% in financial 22, as projected by various economic institutions. Therefore, many economists and renowned global institutions have cited India as the bright spot in the world steel industry. Coming to the world has indicated India is an ideal space for any integrated steel plant for a variety of reasons. I mean, I can name a few, but the congestion of the participant, though most of the participants, they are from the ferrous industry and non-ferrous industry, they must be aware about the reason, but it is my moral duty to explain some of the points. One is the abundant and low cost iron reserves available in India, skilled workforce which we have got because of demographic status or the pattern. Third one, industry expanding at a breakneck pace. Fourth one is great location of the offshore sales. Then we have also adequate, competent leaders are available, including managers. The last one is that we have also long seashore where you can also have integrated steel plant across the source. The fact that the per capita consumption in the country is less than 1/3 of the world average, which underlines the huge potential for long-term growth for the sector. The Ministry of Steel has rightly identified certain sector. One is construction, the other is infrastructure, the third one is manufacturing, the fourth one rural sector are the focal points, and are dovetailing all policy interventions to boost the steel consumption in these sectors. Over the years, many things haven't, many action has been taken by the government. As you know that infrastructure sector plays the important role. It is the key driver for the Indian economy. As you know, infrastructure sector includes power, renewable energy, bridges, dams, highways, and urban infrastructure development. In addition to the infrastructure also, the another one is the logistic also, which plays very important role for promoting this infrastructure sector. The logistics sector offers huge opportunities for the steel, and the country has rightly identified the sector for development, which will be pivotal for realizing the chartered economic growth. As per the Government of India statistic, the appropriate department is Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, which provides that the FDI in construction sector from April 2000 to September 2020 stood at $43 $43 billion US. This is the statistic government by the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, Government of India. The logistics sector in India is expected to increase a compound annual growth rate of 10.5% by 2024. India has a requirement of investment worth $778 billion in infrastructure by 2022 to promote sustainable development in the country. The massive investment of $1 trillion in infrastructure sector planned by the government will further boost the demand and the opportunity have to be leveraged adequately. Another sector I wanted to highlight on construction infrastructure at the highest segment with a share of around 55%, followed by manufacturing and engineering, which is capturing 21%. Automotive and transport sector is occupying 15%, and capital goods is around 9%. Though the construction sector accounts for almost 35% of Indian steel consumption, the per capita use only around 31 kg compared to an average of 110 kg of emerging economy. Take the example of 10 or more than that also. Therefore, there is huge opportunity in this segment also. The anticipated increase in urbanizations would also provide adequate opportunity to accelerate the steel demand with Indian housing substantial potential. About 10 million people migrate to city every year. The number of Indians living in urban areas will increase for around 450 million currently to about 600 million by 2031. There's a substantial increase, 150 million by 2031. We're just coinciding with the steel policy of India. Indians' urban population as a percentage of total population was around 33% in 2015 and is expected to rise to 40% by 2030. The urban shortage in India is estimated at around 10 million units. You must be knowing that the government of India has promoted one scheme, that is Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. So the housing needs of this 10 million unit, which will be taken care by government of India through its Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Another sector, it is rural housing. Target to achieve 1 crore dwelling units in the 3 years, and usage of steel-based structure will provide huge impetus to the demand of steel. Housing for all, the mission by 2022 will also lead to higher consumption of steel. Another is the smart city mission, which also contribute the consumption of steel, which will provide poor infrastructure, which will greatly promote the utilization of steel for development. India has the second largest road network across the world at 4.5 million kilometers. Only 24% of the national highway framework network in India is 4-lane. So you can see that the huge potential in the highway sector also for consumption, as far as consumption steel is concerned. The roads and bridges in India are estimated to have expanded at a CAGR of 13.6 over financial year 2009 to 2007 to US dollar 19.2 billion. That's a huge jump it has made within 8 years. Around 2,000 kilometers of connectivity roads have been identified for connectivity between ports and remote villages. The government of India has decided to invest around 7 trillion, that is 100 billion US dollar, for constructing new roads and highways over the next 5 years. Similarly, the Indian Railways will acquire investment of around 545 billion US dollar by 2032 for capacity addition and modernizations. Coming to the aviation sector, which also consumes maximum steels, there is a huge potential in the aviation sector also. As you know that India is the 9th largest civil aviation market in the world. The anticipated double-digit growth would make India as the world's 3rd largest aviation market by 2025. India plans to increase the number of airports by 250 by 2030 to cater to the growing leisure and business travel. Similarly, also Airport Authority of India is planning to spread over $3.2 billion between 2018 to 2022, 4 years, to build the existing one. The Udans, you must be knowing, government of India is building many aviation, airport Udan scheme. The sector is expected to witness investment worth $25 billion by 2027. This investment will greatly increase the steel consumption in the country. The industrial sector is the second largest country after construction with capital goods, manufacturing, and automobile being the major segments. The national manufacturing policy envisions a share of 25% in GDP over the next decade. This should be a prominent driver as it has cascading effect on related manufacturing. India is the fifth largest producer of automobiles in the world. The automobile sector contributes almost 7.1% of GDP and offers attractive opportunity to drive the steel consumption because of its capability to become a global manufacturing hub for the automobiles, particularly small cars. India has significant cost advantage. Auto firms save 10 to 25% operation vis-a-vis. In like India, Automotive Mission Plan 2026 of the government in India give a huge boost to the sector. India is slated to become the third largest automobile market in the decade, and global steel majors are investing in India to leverage its competitive advantage. India can easily aspire to become a leader in this segment, also given its high skill, low cost labor, and favorable geographical location. Future of Indian steel industry is therefore bright. The accelerated spend, the infrastructure sector, including roads, railways, shipbuilding, anticipate growth in defense and automobile sector are expected to create significant demand for steel in the industries. Further, visualizing the likely tremendous pressure on the Indian road and rail networks, the government has also initiated measures for promoting coastal movement. You must be knowing the Sagarmala project is one of the strategic and custom-oriented initiative to modernize India's coast to augment coastal movement so that the ports become drivers of economic activity, contributing to the growth of the nation. Increasing the share of coastal shipping and inland navigation on the transport model mix is one of the key objectives of the Sagarmala project. It aims to harness India's 7,500 kilometer long coastline and 14,500 kilometers of potentially navigable waterways. Realizing the enhancement of capacity is a capital intensive process with a long gestation periods. The RBI, on ministry's intervention, are revisiting their guidelines through strategic debt restructuring scheme and flexible structuring of long-term project loans, which are welcome step by the industry. And you must be knowing that RBI has also issued, that resolution plan to, safeguard the interest of the COVID pandemic. In addition to this, favorable demographic improvement in social economic indicators, increasing penetration in rural areas, and increasing usage of steel in bridges, crash barriers, etc., which the government is now actively pursuing, are expected to contribute positively to the steel demand. The focus on Make in India initiative is also expected to give fresh boost to the steel consumption in the country. The steel industries, on the other hand, should dovetail its effort to improve operational efficiency in terms of techno-economic parameters such as specific energy consumption, raw material consumption, productivity, water recycling, and waste energy recovery by benchmarking these indices with the best of the world. The various processes must be reoriented through adoption of best available technology and best available practices. The time has now come when the steel sector has to transform itself from niche to multiple niche, not focusing only one niche, but you are required to focus more on the multiple niche operators. This transformation is possible only through innovation, and this calls for coherent, efficient, and effective strategy through research and development. Synergy for technology exchange need to be developed meaningful research and development intervention by setting up R&D expenditure and increasing the R&D expenditure. To facilitate this transformation, the Ministry of Steel has also set up one institute, R&D institute. His name is Steel Research and Technology Mission. And government is also putting money to promote research and development and inculcate that that culture across all the steel industries. I'm confident that focus efforts for technology upgradation, efficiency, and improving steel consumption would certainly go a long way in strengthening the Indian steel industry's capabilities for sustained growth and emerge as the front runner the global. This much I wanted to share in this forum. Very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Nilanjan Sai, other person, those who have given me opportunity to say a few words. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really a pleasure to listen to you. Such an informative speech. And now I would request Mr. Deepak Prasad to kindly make his address.
Morning,
Over to you, Mr. Prasad. Good
yeah,
morning.
right. Morning, all. Mr. Brijmohan Agrawalji, Chairperson, ICC National Expert Committee for Minerals and Metals, Mr. K.C. Das, K. Shukla, and other dignitaries present today. All the stakeholders, including head of industries and all the media persons and all people involved in today's workshop on 10th India Mineral and Metal Forum. I must congratulate and appreciate the effort of ICC in particularly highlighting, giving a forum to address all the issues, or highlight all the industries development and support required for the industries. So I'll share one of the presentation. I am heading aluminum business at Vedanta. I'll be talking on subject of aluminum and its future. I hope it is visible.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Please carry on.
Yeah, thank you. So, aluminum, as you know, it's a versatile metal. It's lightweight, good conductor, low density, corrosive resistance, and beautifully it can be recycled a number of times. And also, during the recycling, it takes around 90% of the energy required for producing new metal. Look at the, it's basically, it works as circular economy. It's ideally suited for integrated in circular economy, and it's a versatile material. And as we mentioned that its adaptability and durability also, it supports the reuse and recycle all the time. Well, look at the various uses recently. Nice development has taken place in automotive industries, building infrastructure, and packaging, and so having multiple it's a quality and its uses. It can be used in various applications. If you look at potential of aluminum in India, we are at approximately 3 kg of capita consumption, whereas world is higher at 11. But if I look at the other in the other developed country, it is around, it's about 50 kg also. And we see a huge potential of aluminum development across that. And if I look at Europe, for example, 180 kg and US is 211 kg. So if you look at the value chain, it basically main ore is the bauxite, which takes around 6 ton of metal. For 6 ton of bauxite required for per ton of metal, 2 ton of alumina, and around 14,000 kilowatt per ton of power, and also around 11 tons of coal to produce 1 ton of aluminium. If we look at the production, around 69 million ton it's getting produced now. In India, it is around 4 million ton capacity, around 3.5 million ton we have produced. The balance is happening that around 2 million ton goes out for the export, and also similar amount we are importing. And in the last slide, I'll say the difference. What is the difference between import and exports when we talk about the way forward? If you look at the population, world today, it's around 8 billion. It's going to become around 9 billion in 2030, whereas in India it is around 1.4, 1.5 billion. It's going to be crossing 1.5 billion. And if you look at the production, aluminum consumption is around 81 across the world, around 81 million ton, and in 2030 it will be around 120 and 30 million ton. Whereas production is around 69, as I mentioned, and in world it will be around in 2030 it will be around 110 million. In India, as we mentioned, that there is a potential to go by around 1 million ton or 1 to 1.5 million ton in 2030. This is the source we get from CRU and other publications. If you look at the aluminum production and consumption pattern, so consumption around 90 million ton. Look at India is around 3.5 and going to become 5. But other countries like China, it's the highest one. We look at that around 39 million ton. Rest, if you go to the segment-wise aluminum consumption, breakup of 90 million will be around transport 23 million, construction 22 million, and the electrical segment is around 11 million, machinery part is around 10 million. And in India, if you see same thing, electrical segment is higher compared to other segments, which eventually is going to increase in transport and construction and packaging in the industries in coming days of time. If you look at the five forces analysis of aluminum industry, suppliers power, it's difficult for the new entrants in the market because the economics is high skill and investment is high fixed cost. There are market competitions, threat for the substitutes from the steel or carbon fibers, and high bargaining power determined by demand and supply. And barriers are high capital cost, extended setup time, availability, power, and raw materials. Look at this, the aluminum cost curve, and it's varying from around 1,100 to crossing even $2,500. So what we should do, we should be definitely ensuring that we are in first quartile. In fact, all Indian industries are in first quartile of the cost curve, which is very, very good sign. And recent LME, which is at higher number between 2,300 2,400, it is also supporting us to sustain the market. But as per, if I look at the cycle of the LME, it doesn't stay at this level more than 2 years. So it's very, very important for us so that we focus on cost and try to reduce our cost between, currently we are at around $1,700 to $1,800, and it has to come down to less than $1,200. There are many industries who are already operating in this range. If you look at about all the bauxites, alumina, ingots, and valued products, this is the distribution. In Vedanta we are at alumina, ingot, and valued products. Hindalco is it's extended towards Novelis and on roll products, extrusions, and remelt. In Balco, we are trying to bring valued products like roll products in coming future. And other areas you can see like Nalco, all the spread. Chalco is which is one of the biggest industries in China. So all have verified products. And if you look at that, Hydro and Alcoa, they're also in the similar range. This is just a depiction of the in terms of graph, which is Rio Tinto and alcohol is leading in other part of the China, and other industries are accordingly. If you look at the challenges in aluminum industry, it's a vast geographic spread, location of coal mines, bauxite mines, power plants, growth of bauxite mining facility, aluminum, which supports in aluminum production, supply chain network. So one of the challenge in India. Just one example, I can talk about it. Rake in Sishan Railways in South Africa has over 342 wagons, and each wagon's carrying capacity is 100 ton. So 34,000 ton we can carry, whereas in all normal cases between 3,000 to 5,000 ton only. Dependency on international technologies. China's exports, possibility and current ramp up in technology upgradations. Increase in cost of raw materials, environment norms, lower automation level, product quality. So these are the challenges of aluminum industries. And if you look at way forward, what we should do to ensure that aluminum industries for the growth in India and increase our per capita consumption from 3 million ton to 3 kg to let's say more than 50-60 kg. Increase in bauxite mining from 26 million annum to 24 million ton. There is capacities and reserves in India. If I talk about Orissa only, it's almost similar capacities there in Australia, and they have got more than 10 refineries, but we've got only 3 refineries. So huge potential for exploring bauxite in India, and we are importing many times bauxite, which shouldn't happen. We're losing government dollars and government as well, and ensuring the raw material security of alumina, coal, CP coke, and LF3. CP coke mostly we import from outside, and also coal is one of the biggest I would say requirement for the aluminum industry, because aluminum industries depends on the heavy requirement of power, as I mentioned, about 14,000 kilowatt per ton. Efficient supply chain network, we should have technological development. We must go for high kilo ampere of smelters and automation and mechanization, and we must explore the opportunities to produce the green aluminum, some setup or tie up with renewable energy resources, which is the Prime Minister's also as per the Kyoto protocol is driving that, and the BE is actually driving this projects to reduce the power consumption in the smelters and other industries as well. Development of aluminum park and supporting MSME. This is one of the I would say biggest initiative we should have in it's not only aluminum but other industries also. We should have a hub supporting the main industries and really supporting MSME. I'm sure many of the government agencies, bureaucrats, and others and leads are here in this forum. They can look into this. Strong association of aluminum and non-ferrous industries to ensure powerful presence in the national and international forums. We can have a tie-up with agencies and universities for development, as it is happening around the world and in developed nation. We must focus on valued product and quality products. Last 2 points. We should have a creative, creating export markets. As I was mentioning, that we are importing around 2 million and also exporting 2 million. But look at the difference. That what we import, it's around 76% is a value-added product, but when we export, it is 21% only. So here we are losing in terms of generating money for our industries in terms of valued product. And also we're really looking for supports on some kind of importing import duties, let's say 7.5% to 10%, or 7 to 10% to 10 to 15%, and increase in MEIS from let's say from 2 to 5%. This may support our industries in growth perspective, and I'm sure the way we are designed, and these 3 leading industries who are there in aluminum, Hindalco, Nalco, and Vedanta. The way I see the program, and we are meeting all the officials and we see the kind of progress they're thinking, the kind of focus they have got in industry on the cost, productivity, and quality. Those days are not far. We will be able to, we'll become an industry leader around the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prasad. And now I would request Mr. A.K. Sinha to kindly make his address. Mr. Sinha, can you hear us? I request Mr. Shankar Sinha. I'm sorry. I would request Mr. Shankar Sinha to make his address. Mr. Shankar Sinha, can you hear us?
Mr. Nilanjan, if he's not there, can I start mine because I was given time.
Sure, sir. Actually, there was some issues with his joining. So, sir, please carry on. I would request Mr. Arun Kumar Shukla, CMD Hindustan Copper Limited, to please carry on, sir.
Brijbhushan ji Agrawal, Shri K.C. Das ji, Shri Deepak Prasad, Shri Thomas, a special guest from Government of Jharkhand. I hope Secretary and Director is joining. Distinguished guests and all the associates of Indian Chamber of Commerce. Very good morning. It is really a great pleasure to address this August forum organized by Indian Chamber of Commerce to discuss on such an important topic, which would soon act as a welcome to the country's future growth story. Ferrous and non-ferrous minerals have their unique roles to play in shaping up country's manufacturing profile. The global pandemic situation has created immense imbalances in demand and supply, and the price of all base metals have climbed higher since falling rapidly at the onset of the pandemic early last year. A stronger recovery from China and US market, supply constraints, and weaker US dollar are driving prices higher. Till led the way with 113% year-on-year rise on the London Metal Exchange in May 2021, followed by copper, which has climbed to an all-time high level of $10,724 per ton in May 2021, surpassing its previous peak of $10,160 per ton in February 2011. Aluminium prices are up by 69% on year. In comparison, nickel, lead, and zinc have shown modest growth of 46%, 36%, and 49% year on year, respectively, as per CARE rating agency. These figures are taken from there. Since last year, the copper prices has risen 94% amid strong demand and supply tightness. Global copper supply has remained almost stagnant over the last 3 years, and only 2 new copper mines have come on stream in the last 4 years. Supply tightness is also reflected in the falling stock levels at warehouses. The bullishness in copper prices is also led by the red metals' immense importance in transitioning to clean energy technologies such as renewables and electric vehicles. Clean energy technologies are also the fastest growing segment for copper demand. An electric vehicle needs 4 times more copper than a regular vehicle. In a scenario that meets the Paris Agreement goals, clean energy technologies' share of total demand rises significantly over the next 2 decades to over 40% for copper and rare earth elements, 60 to 70% for nickel and cobalt, and almost 90% for lithium, as per the International Energy Agency. Copper is essential to sustainable development and a modern quality of life. Many of the global trends driving the sustainable development agenda rely on copper and its unique properties, including energy efficiency, security, climate change mitigation, public health, food supply, green building, and more. Hence, copper is the third most important base metal by value, accounting for roughly $130 billion industry annually at global level. International Copper Study Group has projected copper mine supply to increase in 2021 and 2022 after remaining stagnant for 4 straight years. While demand for copper is expected to surge, supply is expected to lag behind as ore grade from existing mines are declining in quality and new projects are running behind the schedule. A severe shortage could be seen if new supplies do not come on stream in the coming years and investment is not poured into developing new copper mines. These factors are behind the super rally seen in copper. Macro data point also out of a robust demand scenario with China's manufacturing activity expanding at a faster than expected pace. US President Joe Biden $2 trillion infrastructure plan is one that could provide real fundamental demand for copper. Looking out into the long-term demand for copper looks set to increase further. The medium-term outlook on copper remains positive as demand is anticipated to improve on investments in EV, renewable energy, and infrastructure. As per the resource-based reported in NMI database, as on 2015, India's reserve resource of copper ore is around 12.16 million tons of copper content, of which 2.73 million tons constitute reserves. Estimated copper reserve of the country stands for only 0.31% of one's copper reserve. We can see that this figure is very, very low. So India is not self-sufficient in the production of copper ore, and which is a major cause of concern for the country in respect of import bill. To reduce the import bill of the country, Hindustan Copper Limited is executing its mine expansion plan to enhance its ore production capacity by more than 3 times from the current level. Recycling of copper is being encouraged by all the countries as it saves up to 85% of energy from primary route, and in Europe, more than 50% requirement is met by recycling only. Government of India is also emphasizing on the circular economy in copper as it is important and relevant for India because of limited reserve and resources of the country. The per capita refined copper consumption of our country is around 0.6 kg, whereas the world average per capita consumption is 3.2 kg. In our country also, we are likely to enhance it up to 1 kg in coming years. Copper demand in India is expected to grow due to increased thrust of Government of India towards Make in India, smart city programs, and increased investments in railways, power, defense, and infrastructure sectors, as well as Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative and the thrust on renewable energy and electric vehicle. Copper, the traditional age-old remedy for good health, has also remained a significantly important economic health indicator in India. While many sectors have rebounded sharply, some sectors are still lagging in terms of gross domestic product. Though financial year 21-22 will see a strong rebound on the low base, complete normalization is expected only by financial year 22-23. The Indian Chamber of Commerce, with its 10th India Minerals and Metals Forum, opens an opportunity for us to understand the dynamics of the ferrous as well as non-ferrous industry in India, as there is a huge future growth potential in these sectors in the domestic market. Thank you so very much for inviting me in this seminar, in this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shukla. It was really a pleasure to hear you once again. And now I would request Mr. Shankar Sinha from Government of Jharkhand to address. Mr. Sinha, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, sir,
Yes.
you are.
Am I audible to all? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much for inviting and giving this opportunity to Jharkhand State to speak on this 10th Indian Mineral and Metals Forum. Shri Bhushan Agrawal ji, Shri Deepak Prasad, Shri V.R. Sharma, Shri K.C. Das, Shri Shukla ji, my friend, and we have listened a great extent from my friend on friend from Vedanta, bauxite and aluminum industry, and then on copper industry. From a state point of view, why we are not able to develop our mines or extract the potential of the mineral resources satisfactory. See, we talk about development, but we should talk about growth. See, at present, I am working for Surda Mines of Hindustan Copper, and any moment we will be issuing orders for that. 1,300 employees have been rendered jobless, directly and indirectly, maybe 5,000. So we will have to talk about the growth of an area. See, what we have witnessed, that capitalism at present is at stress. So either we talk about aluminum, or we talk about copper, or we talk about bauxite, but we seldom talk about the sustainable livelihood of that area. See, Jharkhand, we have reached to a state where we developed our mines in last century, like in mica and in coking coal, Roroburu asbestos, and copper mines also. Then these mines have closed, and now again we are preparing some blocks for gold and other minerals. What I found that the blocks were not rendered economical. So I studied a lot and then came to know that sludge from gold mines, sludge from copper mines, red mud from bauxite, they are also sellable. And we were astonished that some of the, when we categorized metals in base metals, precious metals, minor metals, and specialty metals, we came to know that there are so many rare earth elements and special metals present in our sludge. For example, in Mosabani copper mines, there are sulfides are rich in cobalt, nickel, titanium, and vanadium. In Rakha, Molybdenum is 0.011%, nickel is 0.08%, cobalt is 0.01%, tin is 100 ppm, silver is 2 gram per ton, and gold is 0.2 gram per ton. Similarly, in bauxite mines, we heard a lot about bauxite, but our bauxite contains presence of titanium, gallium, vanadium, scandium, and lithium. The GSI has recently discovered an area called Siphatoli in Latehar districts, which has good quantity of vanadium and lithium. So this is the area. This is the area where the special metals and rare earth metal, which has got a very good market at present, and somehow or other they are being exported to our neighboring countries in so many ways. See, I will just tell you on mica also, what is there in mica, which minerals are found in mica. Apart from sodium, calcium, that is the base one, there is beryllium, there is manganese, chromium, titanium, lithium. These things are extracted in our neighboring countries from our west mica that we call Dhibra. In Jadugoda uranium sludge also, nickel is 0.21%, cobalt is 0.013%, molybdenum is 0.035%. So these are the area where we can look into and make it commercial. See, I want to emphasize that the total area has to be developed, like total Singhbum thrust zone. Whatever space or whatever excavation we are doing, be it overburden, be it materials found from footwall and log wall, they should also be marketed in roads and other things. They contain valuable minerals. So we will have to look into be done from government agencies and laboratories and the societies like you. So it's a very important role that Indian Chamber of Commerce has to play in future for discovering the potential of these rare and very important minerals. See, I will just tell you that the lithium found in one of the area varies from 40 to 416 ppm. Lithium, we all know, is very important minerals as far as electrical vehicles are. Therefore, we must have a total group. Yesterday, the local political persons, political leaders, now they are behind us. Open the mines. But in some of the areas, this is not the land acquisition. So whatever mines we are opening, we have several things. Even we can sell the water found in mines. Is good. It can be used for vegetation, for irrigation. Any water found in any mines can very well be used for irrigation, for tourism, for scientific purposes. So all these things should be taken into account when we talk about the development of the mine. We from the government point of view, we are now focused on the reasons why closure of mines. Let us see the mica mines of Koderma and Giridih districts. Now, those persons who were engaged in erstwhile mica mining, now they have to be given some alternative livelihood. That is the case for the coking coal also. So now we will have to think that any development, any speciation, any space creation should be beneficial for the society. So I will conclude with the Gita Sloka 2.7, which describes what is the karma that we have to do. There, the Buddha must tell what is Shreya karma and what is Preya karma. Shreya is Kalyankari and Preya is popular but not Kalyankari. And this holds good for mines also. So let us develop our mineral resources, because all the 5 resources, natural resources like human being, mineral resources, agriculture, water, we have plenty, and we can balance the development of all these natural resources for the development of country. And the India can be pushed to a developed country only by optimum utilization of our minerals. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak before you. And please, I am open, and any question for the discussion, because the first 2 points of the discussion also relates to the government policy. Thank you, Mr. Chaudhary.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sinha. We had a good overview about Jharkhand. Thank you so much for that. And now I would request the co-chairperson of the ICC National Expert Committee on Minerals and Metals, Mr. MC Thomas, to kindly make the vote of thanks. Since we are running out of time, so we will not take. We have not received any questions yet here, so I think, sir, we can carry on with the vote of thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Thomas. Good afternoon, everyone. And it's really my pleasure to deliver the closing remarks and form a lot of thanks to this very, very engaging session as part of the 10th India Minerals and Metals Forum. I hope each one of you and the family members are managing well under these challenging times. And I also like to convey my sincere gratitude to all the eminent speakers in the session. Mr. Brajbhushan Agarwal, my chairperson of the ICC National Expert Committee, Mr. Deepak Prasad, Vedanta, Mr. K.C. Das from CMD Vizag Steel, Mr. Arun Shukla, CMD Hindustan Copper, Mr. Shankar Sinha, my old friend from Ranchi. On behalf of ICC, I think it's a great opportunity for us to have all of you here and listen to your thoughts. And I wholeheartedly thank our sponsors, our partners, members of the media, and also all the delegates who signed in for this program. Thank you so much for your support and cooperation. After such an eminent session, I don't want to repeat a lot of things, but just to put before you three points from my side. First is mining, as we know, is a basic industry, and mining provides necessary materials for all other industries. Most of the things which we use today has some linkage to mining to start with. So, and India fortunately has a huge amount of mineral resources. Some of it we know, some of it we may not know. So let's leverage our rich mineral resources through mining and enable the downstream manufacturing to thrive, so that India can definitely grow on our GDP and also become a manufacturing hub. Second point is, all of us, be it mining, be it manufacturing, there is a need for us to embrace technology. Technology is something which is driving the world, and if we are not looking at it, thinking that our industry is been running for many years, we don't need it anymore, I think that would be a mistake. Please look at technology. Can you please mute whoever it is? Thank you. So look at technology more positively, and there are a lot of examples, a lot of best practices around the world which we can embrace, including digital and also process technologies. The last point I would mention is about sustainability as an essential ingredient of our businesses, because gone are the days when we could manage our operations without really bothering about, or which just minimum managing of the the required pollution control, etc. But sustainability is an essential part of the business going forward. And again, if we don't look at it now, it will be a problem for us in future for sustaining our businesses. Whatever is the business we are in, be it mining, be it manufacturing, be it downstream. I think sustainability plays a very, very important role, and the earlier we get into it and the earlier we start working towards it is the better. I would like to thank everyone for being with us today, and I especially like to thank Nilanjan and Ananya and the team of ICC for organizing it so nicely. Thank you and stay safe.
Thank you so much, sir. It was indeed a pleasure to have you all with us. I would like to thank each and every speaker individually for making this session so engaging and informative. I would also like to thank all our patrons, all our sponsors for being with us in this pandemic time. I would like to thank Sham Metallics, Tata Steel, Manganese Ore India Limited, Government of Jharkhand, NMDC, Amalgam Steel, Vedanta Industries, JSW, OMC, Vizag Steel, Jindal Steel and Power Limited, Dassault Systems, Visa Industries, Atha Group, Sham Steel, and SMC Power for supporting this initiative as a sponsor. We'll meet shortly within 2 minutes for the next session. So please be with us. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Vishal Agarwal, sir, can we start?
Shall we wait for Mr. Deepak Mohanty to log in?
All right, sir, we can wait for a while. Vishalji, can we start now? Vishalji, are you there?
Yep.
So, sir, actually, there are many speakers in this session. So, I think people who have joined, we can start, and slowly others will come in.
Okay.
It's almost 12:20.
Mr. Mohanty has joined or not yet?
Yes, sir, he has joined.
Okay, great.
So, sir, I'll start the session then.
Yep, sure.
Good afternoon and welcome once again to the second session of the 10th India Minerals and Metals Forum. And this session is on India's iron ore outlook and raw material issues. And I would like to welcome Mr. Vishal Agarwal, MD, Visa Group, Mr. Deepak Mohanty, Special Secretary, Department of Steel and Mines, Government of Orissa, Mr. Gajendra Pratap Singh, Head Corporate Affairs, JSW, Mr. Shobhushachi Mohanty, Director Operations, OMC, Mr. VR Sharma, Managing Director, JSPL, Mr. PK Satpathy from NMDC, and our chief guest for this session, Dr. VK Saraswat. This session will be moderated by Mr. Vishal Agarwal. So we'll start the session now. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Nilanjan. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. On behalf of ICC, I'd like to welcome everyone to this session on India's iron ore outlook and raw material issues. I'd like to welcome all the members who are speakers on the panel. We have a wide representation from the government of Odisha, from whom we'll be eagerly awaiting to hear about the iron ore production in Odisha and the mine auctions and what is the future on that. We have representatives of NMDC and OMC who are going to be very key merchant iron ore suppliers going forward. We also have representatives of JSW and JSPL who have captive mines, and it'll be interesting to hear that perspective. And also a representative from Niti Aayog, who is our chief guest, Mr. Saraswat, on the overall policy direction and strategy for the country. As you all know, the iron ore production in India has fallen last year to 204 million tons, which is down by almost 41 million tons as compared to 245 million tons in FY 19-20. The exports have also increased by almost 23 million tons, from 37.7 million tons to roughly 60 million tons if we include the iron ore pellets. If we look at Orissa specifically, the iron ore production has fallen by about 31 million tons to 101 million tons from 142 million tons in the previous financial year. Out of this 111 million tons, roughly 65 million tons is from the captive mines of Tata Steel, SAIL, JSW Steel, Arcelor, and JSPL. So the merchant iron ore supply is only 46 million tons. And if you remove the 29 million odd tons which was exported from the Orissa mines, the merchant supply of iron ore for the end user industries in Orissa has been only 17 million tons. And this is catering to the entire eastern region. And because of this acute shortage of iron ore, the prices have been rising unprecedentedly from 2,200 rupees in June of 2020 to anything from 9,000 to 12,000 to 14,000 rupees, depending on fines, lumps, and sized ore in June of 2021. And this is creating a lot of pressure for the end user industries, more so when the product prices have started correcting and cooling off. In this background and context, I think some of the key issues and the topics of discussions that we have today, it will be, the first broad category is how do we increase iron ore production? And I think NMDC and OMC play a key role. NMDC is currently mining about 34 million tons with capability of going up to 55 million tons. OMC is currently mining only about 13 million tons with a capability to go up to 55 million tons. If we take approximately 10 million tons from the Jilin mines, 30 million tons from the Gwali mines, and 15 million tons from the Etari, Gandhamardan, and Koira mines. The auctioned iron ore mines also need to ramp up production to the EC capacity. And there are 4 particular mines, which are that of Nadidihi, Tehrai, and Balda, wherein the successful bidders, Vishal LPG, Fomento, Tarana, and Sirajuddin, have either not started production or they have not been producing as per the minimum threshold. And these together contribute to almost 30 million tons of iron ore supply. So unless these mines are allotted to a government company like OMC or NMDC or any other government company, there is a huge shortfall of about 30 million tons, which is coming only from this. The second broad category is the expedition of iron ore mine auctions, which has been pending because of the mineral auction rules not having been notified. So hopefully now we'll get more mines auctions on way. And here again, there are certain mines which expired on March 2020, including the Roida mines of Mesco, the Kasia mines of SL Mining, Putli Pani of Gandhabardhan Sponge, Jaluri of Malaroy, and Balita of Pradhan. These mines together can contribute 12 million tons of iron ore. And there are 2 other large mines which are likely to expire in the current financial year, which is that of Koira from SL Mining and Thakurani mines of Sharda, which are currently contributing 22 million tons. So put together, the mine auctions need to be expedited so that the supply-demand balance, remains. And the third is vis-a-vis the trade policy, where even today 60 million tons of iron ore fines plus pellets is being exported. So maybe the export tax regime on iron ore fines and pellet needs to be reviewed, so that at least as a temporary measure, so that in the immediate financial year, the local industry is not suffering for want of iron ore. So with this, I would like to first call upon Mr. Deepak Mohanty, who is the Special Secretary, Steel and Mines Department of the Government of Orissa, to give us his perspective. Mr. Mohanty. So if you can unmute yourself. It should be at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah. Is it audible now?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for your at a glance picture of the iron ore sector in the state. In fact, I'll just differ a little bit from the statistics which you have already presented. Number one is the last year's production. You mentioned that 111 million tons, as against 1920 production of 142. That is quite agreeable. But when you say that the captive and non-captive segregation, I differ there, because the captive, as per our record, out of 111 million ton of production, 35 million ton were captive, and 75 million ton, little more than 75 million ton was for non-captive and but as against the 111 million ton of production, which is more important, is the actual dispatch. Dispatch has been 140 million ton. And of course, the export has definitely gone up. I don't disagree. Export has gone up from 1920, it was 17.38 million ton, but it has gone up to 29.08 million ton during 2021. Now, you also mentioned about the auction mines and all that. Everybody knows that 2021 was definitely a year where we really encountered many setbacks, in the sense there was pandemic and there was also the expiration of nearly 24 mines in the state of Odisha, and we also went for the auctioning of all those mines timely, and as on date 19 have already started operation, and out of 19 probably 12 are iron producing, which are already in operation, and none of the mine is now, I mean, I'm just restricting to the iron producing mines. All the iron producing mines are now producing, and we are, of course, we are running after them every time to really expedite their production and to ramp up their production to achieve the minimum production. So that is already there on them, and then they are also trying to catch up with the production. Now, if we see as on date, I mean 29th of June, or maybe by 28th of June, if we see the production has already been 39.57 million ton, as against 35.78 million ton in 1920 and only 17.61 million ton during 2021 during the corresponding period. So that actually brings us to a stage where the production during 2021 has been already 110.56% of that of 1920, but it is 224% of that production during 2021. So if we maintain this production, I don't think there would be any problem for, I mean, the scenario which you are now predicting that so many mines are going to be again expiring and their production level is this thing and all that. In fact, the extent of production which you have mentioned against Sarda and Koida mines, that also is a little overestimation. So that way, if we really keep this pace, which we are trying our best to maintain, I don't think there would be any shortage of the iron ore in the market. Now, as far as our production of steel is concerned, I think if you really see, particularly for Odisha, the steel production has already gone up in 2021. 21-22 is of course in running, so I'm just giving the statistics for 2021. 2021, the crude steel production in respect of Odisha only, it has already gone up by 4.38%. So 4.38 million ton. I mean, it was 19.64 in 1920, and now it has gone up to 20.5. And similarly, the sponge iron has also gone up. I think the total production of country, the steel production, there is a shortfall. But as far as Odisha is concerned, I think all the steel producers of Odisha, they are now in an increasing trend, and I don't think there would be any problem for the steel industry. The way we are now trying to supply the raw materials to the market, there won't be any problem in that case. Now, coming to the points which have been already mentioned, as far as the auction of mines is concerned, we have already auctioned this 19, and out of 19, 12 are iron producing, which are already in operation. Now, the mineral auction rule has already come. I mean, the amendment of mineral auction rule, and we are immediately we are going for publication of the NIT. We are going for publishing 16 blocks, and tentatively we have decided to publish it on 7th of July because we are going to have our high-level committee meeting tomorrow itself, and then we will take the government order and we'll be publishing NIT for 16 blocks. Out of 16, 10 are iron producing, and 4 are expired leases. So those 4 expired leases, out of those 4, 1 is Cassia, and the other 3 which were already put to auction, but then the auction didn't conclude, it could not be concluded. So that way, those 3 are plus Cassia, these 4 expired iron producing mines we put to auction, which we presume that 7th of July, if we publish the NIT, by August end, we are definitely hopeful that the production can start, because the vesting will be now immediately after the auction is over. We will be immediately vesting all the statutory clearances with the new leases, and now the vesting will be for the entire period of the lease. So that way, in the month of September, we are definitely hopeful that these 4 mines, in addition to whatever, right now we are already having 42 iron producing mines. There are other 19 iron and manganese mines. They are also producing partly iron. But in addition to that, these 4 mines will definitely come into operation in the month of September. As far as Sarda mines is concerned, Sarda mine is going to expire in August, 13th of August. So the only problem is the GR has not been prepared by the lessee. There is some other reason for that, but we are trying to somehow bring both Koida and Sarda mines into operation again as far as possible, maybe by end of this year, or so that way 21-22, I don't think there would be any shortfall in production of the iron ore from the iron ore mines of Odisha. In case of OMC, if you really see, OMC has already 1920 they had actually produced 12.4 million ton, but 2021 they have gone up to 12.7, nearly 13 million ton. 21-22, this current year, they have already moved for their enhancement of EC for Wali as well as Jalingbanguta. They are actually now targeting for 30 million ton. Nearly, I mean, this will be almost a double jump for their total production of iron ore. Then 22-23 again another 8 million ton they are going to add. By 25-26, they are aiming for 60 million ton production. So that way, that is definitely a very hopeful situation, we can say. And if you really see the index of mineral production, which is being published every month by Government of India, they are saying that it is already in an increasing trend. I think April figure is 108, which is 37.1% higher compared to the level in April 2020. So that way, all over India, I mean, if you really see the country scenario also, production of iron ore is definitely in an increasing trend. So I don't think there would be any reason to feel that the iron ore consuming industries will have any problem in near future. So these are the statistics I gave you just to justify that, yes, I don't think there would be any reason to really feel that pessimistic as far as steel industry is concerned.
Right, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think that's very heartening to note that the iron ore production is likely to increase and more mines will come up for auction. Since we are on Odisha, I would like to now request Mr. Sabyasachi Mohanty. I think he also has to leave. So OMC is one of the largest merchant suppliers now, especially after the Jilin and Gwali mines. So Mr. Mohanty, if you can give us your perspective of what is OMC's roadmap of getting to 60 million tons.
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. Is it visible?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Vishal, and thank you, sir. Just I'll give a glimpse basically of Indian iron ore outlook and OMC's contribution, OMC's plan towards the supply of iron ore. If you see the data, the OMC is always around serving the 50 to 60% to the maximum 60% of the total country's productions, and it is giving the material around 60%, 55-60% in the market. Now, if you see the 1 second. Okay. Something went wrong.
Yeah, we can see the slides, Mr. Mohanty. You can carry on.
See the slide, no?
Yeah, please carry on.
Okay. So during the year 2021, FY20, OMC has contributed 60%, and during the year FY21, OMC has contributed 21%. As sir told earlier, during the FY20, OMC has produced 12.7 million ton, 13 million ton. FY21, being a pandemic, also OMC has produced 12.7 million ton, and that material has been made available in the market. Now, if you see the Indian impact of the auction in the iron ore supply that is basically FY20 144 million ton has come down in FY21 is 106, which basically due to the auction mine it has come down by 68%, and non-auction mine it has increased during that period, and captive mine it has again increased.
There are basically total government of Odisha, what sir has told, around 16 mine has been auctioned, out of which 13 mine has been current into the productions. And there are 3 mines which are not productions. Out of that 3 mines, 2 mines has been given to OMC during the month of January. And OMC started production from both the 2 mines in a record time. They started production from this mine in a record time. If you see the chain, 11th January lease was allocated to the OMC, lease executed on 12th January, MO selection for the 5th of February, and production started from these 2 mines on 18th of February. And these mines have almost produced to their maximum capacity, optimum capacity till now. Made the material available to the market. Now, coming to the OMC's perspective, OMC as on today, OMC is for the FY21, we have produced 12.7 million ton. For this year, our target is 13.7 million ton. We have already applied for the environmental clearance for Gwali for 30 million ton and for Jhiling for 10 million ton. And we are going for the environmental clearance for one block of the Gandhamardan to increase it. We will be applying very soon for that also. So Gandhamardan will be 12 million ton, Gwali will be 30 million ton, and your Jhiling will be 10 million ton. Apart from that, Kurmitar 6 million ton, and your Daitari, which is already in 6 million ton. So FY22 OMC projected target is 30.7, 23 is 45 million ton, and 59 FY24 59, and then onwards it is target. Our projection is the 68 million ton. So we can ensure that from OMC side there will not be any shortage of material in the market for this purpose. And for this purpose, OMC is totally geared up. I can give you certain examples for that, what we are going to do it. So I've already explained that how OMC has made both the 2 mines operationalized, and they are almost at the 80% of their peak capacity now. Now, regarding these are basically glimpses what improvements we are doing for our customer purpose, because OMC is basically commercial mine and merchant mine. So like customer interface, that all our customer knows it, customer interface management system. So what we are doing it, so that our customers should not have any problem for this, for getting their refund, for getting their applications, for getting their order booked and getting the invoices, everything. Then we are doing our stockyard management with respect to the safety also. So stockyard management and our traffic management, the biggest traffic management that we have implemented in Gandhamardan, where almost all the traffic, we are making it manless basically. And turnaround time we are increasing it, rather turnaround time we are decreasing it, so that more so that evacuation will be more, maximum material can be available in the market. If you are going to produce from 12 million to 60 million ton, definitely you have to think about your evacuations. So we are thinking of the evacuations. We have made the traffic management in Gandhamardan. We have made the traffic management in stockyard management in Daitari. Now we are going for the evacuation, thinking for the evacuation system in Gwali, in the Gandhamardan also, and we are going for the railway dispatch from Jhiling. So in that way, so that whatever we produce, we can make it available in the market. Like ramp up of the productions, I give a glimpse basically. Earlier OMC was doing by MO for the productions of the Kurmitar. Now OMC has switched over for the Kurmitar for the MDO, so that productions from the Kurmitar from 3 million ton to 6 million ton can be ramped up. Because Kurmitar has already got an EC of 6 million ton. So this is one example I'm telling. And the same way we are thinking for the Gandhamardan also. All the other mine we are making ourselves we're making ourselves ramp up and making ourselves ready for production of 60 million ton. We take evacuation capacity of the same quantity. So we can ensure from OMC with this plan there will not be any shortage of material in the market for our customers. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mohanty. That was very interesting to hear, and wish you all the best for your future expansion on the iron ore side. And we hope more mines can be given to OMC so that you can further increase the merchant supply.
Thank you.
May I now request Mr. P.K. Satpathy from NMDC to kindly share his views on what is the ramp-up plan for NMDC on the iron ore side.
Yeah, good afternoon, respected Sri Vishal Agarwal ji, Deepak Mohanty ji, Mr. Sabyasachi Mahanti, Mr. Gajendra Prasad Singh, Sarmaji, and Honorable Member Nitya Saraswatji, and all the CII representatives of CII who are organizing this. This is a very important topic which has been chosen for discussion on today. Although I got the information yesterday evening itself, but still I'll just try to touch the important points which have been given as the point of discussion. And in this, already a lot of discussions have taken place. What is the scenario in Odisha? Why the production or the supply in the market has dried up, and what are the steps taken by OMC in particular has just been presented by Mr. Sabyasachi Mahanti in a very nice way, and I am really happy that OMC has taken a lot of steps to increase the production from the level of 7-8 million tons to, and they are now having a projection up to 45-50 million tons. Just to address the issue, although NMDC has the presence in Chhattisgarh and Karnataka only. So at present we are producing at the level of 35 million tons, and in this year we have kept a target of achieving 45 million tons because our Donimalai mine, which was under dispute because of the lease extension issue, the issues are there. So 7 million tons will be added, and further 3 million tons from Barilla. Apart from that, in Karnataka there is a ceiling also by the Supreme Court appointed monitoring committee, and that doesn't allow us right now for increasing our output in Karnataka particularly, where our EC capacity is 14 million tons, and we have kept the production target also as 14 million. In Baradila, because of the regions which is not in our control, like weather conditions, the logistic issue, and the mode of transport, or particularly the availability of, although railway has increased the number of rakes from the level of 12-13 in Baradila region to the level of 16-17, and they are further planning to increase up to 21-22 rakes in the Baradila region. And also a lot of steps have been taken in particularly that area to improve the to reduce the turnaround time and with the less number of rakes. And also NMDC has developed one siding in between Jagdalpur and Baradila, so as to have the advantage of the disturbance which is now taking place in particularly Dantewada and Kirandul. So we will have a stockpile there, siding there, and that will help us in improving the dispatch from that area. Apart from that, NMDC has taken steps like doubling of Kirandul Kotavalsa line, and in that particularly Jagdalpur to Kirandul, which is mainly a single line, there the doubling work has been taken up, and NMDC has funded as a deposit work to railways. And I am just sharing with all that almost 60% of the doubling work has been completed, and with that doubling work from the existing capacity of 28 million ton, the capacity will increase up to 40 million ton. Maybe after from Jagdalpur to Paltia, if that doubling is done, which is done by railways itself, then it will further increase from the level of 40 to 60 million tons. So that way the evacuation capacity is there, which is planned to be increased, and the slurry pipeline is another mode whereby the fines is evacuated, and at present earlier SR and now ArcelorMittal, they have got a slurry pipeline which is having capacity of 8 million ton of conveying fines. NMDC has already started implementing the project of a slurry pipeline. It will be completed in 2 phases. In the first phase from Bacheli to Jagdalpur, and in the second phase from Jagdalpur to Visakhapatnam. So there is a 15 million ton slurry pipeline capacity is being added, and it will take some 2-3 years to complete. So most of the packages are awarded, and the work will start because of this COVID and all that, and because of a lot of clearances required. Just to name a few, around 60 villages where the Gram Sabhas were conducted, and after a lot of
वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस नहीं बताइए ना.
yeah. So these are the steps taken for improving the evacuation. Regarding a ramp up plan, I have already mentioned the evacuation is the main issue, and accordingly the mines have also been upgraded in terms of technology like high capacity equipments. Earlier we were using 50-ton dumpers, now 100-ton dumpers are being used. The downhill conveyor, because we are working in a hill area and the mines are at the level of around 1100 MRL to 1200 MRL, and from that the downhill upgradation is there. The crushing plant upgradation work is taken up as expansion, addition of screening plants. All these are taken concurrently so that we are prepared to produce 55 million ton, and ultimately we'll go up to 67 million tons. And from our brownfield mines, including Karnataka, we are projecting by the year 2030 our production from the existing mines and some of the mines which we have got from state government of Chhattisgarh, like deposit 13 and deposit 4, which are expecting the order in shortly. So from those mines, including all these, we will go up to 84-85 million tons. And we are also trying to get this another 15 to 20 million tons from the state of Odisha and Jharkhand, because we do not have any presence there. And the decision of government to alert mines to OMC in when the situation is really very bad in terms of supply is a very welcome decision. And also the MMDR amendment, which has allowed this 22.5% over and above royalty as a premium. That also should help the state government to take a decision in favor of the government companies to alert more mines for the government companies. And I am of the opinion that the presence of both private players and government companies will create a balance, not only from the supply point of view, from pricing point of view also. That will ease out the issues to many extent. Regarding the statistics of Odisha, already Mahanti Sahab and Mr. Sabyasachi Mahanti have given the presentation in detail. I do not want to enter into those figures or statistics, but what I want to highlight here is the captive industries who have taken the mines, whether in the name of merchant mines or as a captive industry. The capacity of those mines, it will be very difficult to ensure production from those mines because of two reasons mainly. One is the high premium at which the acquisition of mines have taken place, and nobody will like to sell the ore at a cost which they cannot realize. I mean to say, suppose, I think anything above 80% premium, if it is done for merchant purpose only, will not lead to any viable business model, and that is my submission. And because of which, that is one of the means demerits of the auction process, where Odisha has already witnessed, and because of which I am just giving figures. The merchant mines whose capacity is around say 14.53. They have produced only 14.53, and in which JSW as a merchant miner in the auction, actually it is mentioned in the auction for merchant use, they have produced around 11.4. That means only 3.13 million ton had been produced during FY21, and this is a matter of concern. And in spite of the amendment to allow 25% of this thing, last year's production for sale in the market, it will be very difficult for the captive as well as merchant miners to sell in the market because of the inherent reasons, that is selling above their cost. And this is about the cost of production plus the DMF royalty, this thing, all those to premium and cost of royalty, DMF and NMT. Cost of production is not included. If you include cost of production, it will be 140 to 150%, which is not at all viable. This also needs to be looked into, why the auctions are failing and how to make the auctions more viable from the point of view of operations and from the point of view of availability of raw material in the market, so that the price which has skyrocketed now. See, in India, we have got a very good steel policy is there, as per which there is a projection of production of steel by 2030, and as per which the iron ore mining sector is also increasing. But problem is that how to balance in between this thing, although the distinction between captive and merchant has been removed, but the problem with the high premium steel remains, and with that high premium, whatever mines have been acquisition, it will be very difficult for them to operationalize. Second point I would like to mention how to go ahead, because I don't want to enter into all those statistical figures. The allocation of mines whose lease has been expired, like the government has taken a right step, the mines should be immediately given to the government-owned mines, whether government sector or state public sector, so that the production, like Odisha Mining Corporation has exhibited that within a short time they could ramp up the production up to level, and the material is 100% available in the market. So similarly, other government companies can be also roped in for starting up the mines which are operating and which have been stopped because of various reasons, whether it is due to auction failure or due to termination of lease, or whatever the case may be. Then some of the new blocks, which are fumiging blocks, and Odisha is having a lot of iron ore reserve in the state, and I would say like Mankad, Nacha, Malantoli, Kandahar, all these mines are fumiging upcoming mines, and some of the new blocks can be reserved for the government sector companies. And now that the additional premium has been allowed for in the new amended MMDR Act, so this should ease out in decision making. Third most important point is whether it is a private sector or public sector, whether captive, non-captive, although the distinction has been removed, but to operationalize the mine, like government has allowed after the auction, the 2 years period in which they can start immediately the mine, and in the 2 years they have to obtain the clearances. Like that, further thought can be infused in making the entire process of ECFC so that it is a time-bound activity, and maybe within 5 to 6 months the clearances should be made available, for after which the companies can start the production process. And regarding the suppose OMC or NMDC or any other government company is alerted for the timing, like where the issues are there, like the auction mines could not start, they could not pay the upfront payment or whatever reasons. So there, so here it is mentioned in the discussion points, that is 10 years or till the auction is process is completed, whichever is shorter. I would suggest that the horizon of 10 years should be kept as a minimum, because although nowadays whether it's OMC or NMDC or any government company, they are engaging MDO or any outsourcing contracting agency to start the operations. Still there are some responsibilities on the owner, on the leaseholder, to have the minimum statutory persons on their role, to have the quality control people, some of the important key areas which has to be manned by the owner's representatives. So, and also some infrastructures need to be done. As a government company, the CSR activities also is taken up very intensely. So keeping in view all these things, a 10-year horizon should be kept as a minimum period. And also the size of the deposit. It should not be 5 million ton, 7 million ton to give a company like OMC or NMDC to operate. Total reserve is 7 million ton or 10 million ton. So sizable quantity, at least more than 80, 90, 100 million tons capacity should be given, so that in 10 years, 10 million ton or 9 million ton per annum can be contributed by the company. Then regarding the
Right, sir.
yeah.
So if I may, thank you very much for some of those
One more
suggestions.
point just I'll make. Export policy of iron ore. Actually, these pellets are not being taxed anything through export. So what is happening? Pellet, as we all know, pellet is a replacement of lumpy ore, and the proportion of lumps in entire Indian iron mines is decreasing, because as we go deeper, the lump proportion is also decreasing. So as a replacement of lump ore, the pellets can be used in the domestic steel industry. So for that also some export taxes should be there, so that the pellet manufacturers who are producing pellets, they will be encouraged to utilize it in the domestic industry. So these are the some of the few things, and I am again thankful to Indian Chamber of Commerce for organizing this event and giving me the opportunity to express my views. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Satpathy. Thank you very much. You made a very pertinent point on the iron ore mine auction and the premiums paid. And because of the high premiums, many of the merchant mines have been taken by captive players, have come into production, but the merchant mines that are for merchant supply have not come into production. I think that is one concern. But I think that's an opportune time to bring in
just one
JSW.
Minute, just 1 minute, Mr. Shah. I am required to go to Chief Secretary's office, so I can devote only 5 more minutes. If anything
Sure.
is to be, so if any discussion from my side, I think that should be over.
Deepak ji, I need your 5 minutes before you leave.
Okay.
So just one point I had on, if since you're going to leave us in a few minutes, one question I had is.
I think Mr. Singh,
this
Mr.
point
Singh
that-
will also say something. Mr. Singh letting, he is taking only 5 minutes, he says. Mr. Singh.
Okay.
So,
So-
thank you so much.
So Mr. Gajendra Singh, you want to come in? If you know, JSW
Yeah,
has
I was
taken on a lot
waiting,
of mines, so if you could give us a perspective of your plans.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. And Dr. VK Sarasri, Mohanty ji, and we have two Mohanty ji. So thank you both of you for being a distinguished panelist. It's an honor to be here with you. And thank you.
You are not audible.
Mr. Singh, I think your line is weak. We can't hear you. You want to switch off
Okay,
your video and try maybe?
Yeah, Mr. Singh, you can switch off the video. I think there's a tethering issue, and then you can speak.
I'm audible now,
better.
sir?
Yeah, much better.
Okay, great. So,
Yeah, please
so I'm just quickly jumping to the point on state, since we talk about the shortage of iron ore here, and there is two ways to deal with that. One is that we can increase the production, another way that we can reduce the export. So and we are in an era where the auction mines and this merchant mines is the the new norms, and this definitely augment a lot of state revenue, and state has a more power to play because of this resources more on their disposal. And JSW is one of the pioneer in participating in merchant minings, and we have participated, and this has gone the auction sometime even gone 140% in some cases. So so first of all, I would like to thank you to the government from state as well as center, because a lot of initiative has been taken in last 3-4 years and enabling things, and that helps to increase the production side. Coming on the Odisha specific side, sir, because Deepak sir here, we have our mines, and we are increasing, and I mean, last year has been definitely challenging for the entire industry, and this challenges by the pandemic posed impacted everyone, so it JSW as well. But having said that, if you see, we were amongst the 19th auction mines which went. We were amongst the 5-6 people who started very early, the first 6 months of the auction after getting it. And we were very hopeful to commit more than what the MDPA target sets for us. But the one challenge which we faced, because some because any new policy takes some time to settling in, and so is this auction thing, and it has some logistics issue. It has some clearing up the old, because the old LACI has dumped for last several years their data, and in one of the mines, we got that dump included in our targets, etc., and which was not part of even a tender condition. So we faced those challenges, and we reached out to state as well as center, and state red center to for their advice, center probably sending back to the state saying that you are the competent authority to decide. So in this whole process, also few months gone by. So sometimes we have faced some challenges. So we look forward to state to be a little considerate on MDPA target side, because when new things comes, industry take its time to settling in, and I personally feel that we are doing in our capacity, and we look some little more hand holding, maybe in a year or so, given the pandemic thing is here. And going forwards, because penalizing and doing penalty, etc., will be not be much. We need to support the auction mine rather than this need to be a one hit great success takeaway for the government initiatives. So this is one, Deepak sir, especially I wanted to put in your knowledge that there are some dump issues which we are facing at this state, and those things are there. But we were very hopeful that going onwards, we can commit on behalf of GSW that we will be, completing not just the target but exceed the target. That's what we have been doing in our other mines as well. So why not here as well? So this is the one piece I thought to touch with you. And apart from that, since Dr. Saraswat is here, I would like to coming straight away to the point related to National Mineral Index, because Niti Aayog is participating in NMAI, and we are in touch with them. And sir, in that case, I would like to touch the topic related to double taxation. It's a known one, and it has been discussed with high level committee earlier also. And IBM declares the price of at the base price on which royalty is being calculated, and that base price already include royalty and DMF auction, royalty auction, NMET, all those components. So this double taxation, one aspect I would like to need to be discussed. And since there is already committee set up by the Mines Ministry and the NMI is there, we are even ICC has represented. We have given the written suggestions on that. So that's one piece where we look forward, that Rule 38 of MCR need to be looked into, and IBM definitely has a power, and the way law is being framed, it's definitely rules can notify well within in their criteria, and IBM has power to add more things that can be excluded while calculating the base price. So because Section 9 of the Act, which derives the power for the coal, that the practices in coal is perfectly okay, while the same Section 9 give power to tax and impose on a royalty. And in this case, because of Rule 38 and other rules, it created a system where IBM declare a price and we pay royalty on royalty. Although law is same.
I'm sorry to interrupt. In fact, I'm required to go. So, Mr. Vishal, I'll take leave. In fact, I'll.
Mr. Mohanty, thank you so much for giving a pleasant hearing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mohanty, thank you for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm continuing for two more points before I leave. I wanted to touch and since I was talking on NMI side, so there is a one issue at average sales price. We face separate index for the exports and domestic. That's our suggestions, because the way average price is being taken, the domestic players are subsidizing the exporters, because the exporters get a high price, but their price calculation for the purpose of royalty is lesser, while the domestic player who get paid less amount will pay the royalty on the average export. Because of the higher prices, it get a royalty calculated on the higher average, and then they end up paying more. So although there is no loss to the government exchequer, because it's like they will be taking either from domestic or from the export, their amount will be unchanged here more or less, but it should not be at the cost of domestic players. So this is one issue I thought to highlight. And then the another one is that replacement of the higher ASP with the lower grade ASP, which the IBM has started the practice, which is not helping actually, because factually that should be on what it is. So there could be a logic that how can diamond be cheaper than gold, but this is what it is, the market dynamics. If the exporters are driving the prices because there is no export duty on lower iron ore, the prices in the international market on the exporter side, it's a higher, and because of that, the low grade iron ore prices is coming higher, while the higher grade iron ore prices coming lower, and then it simply get replaced by this, which is not a best practice. So that I think that need to be looked into. So these are 2-3 concerns I thought to touch, and one of my fellow panelists raises the issue of the palletization. Mr. Satapathy raised very clearly, and I think it's a good thing to address that, because pellet iron ore, ultimately they are made by the agglomeration of the high grade iron ore fine, and high grade iron ore fine has a duty of 30%, but you convert into the pellet, and this not by beneficiating but the agglomeration, and that process hardly, I think it's called US $20 dollar per ton kind of a cost you increase, and then your value get double, because of the iron ore is like 110 to 120 per ton prices, while the pellet prices are 230 to 250. So this, because of this, it attracts, and the pellet has a lower, zero export duty. So this export duty rationalization definitely needed. I think this lower iron ore, the duty was, reduced to nil because probably the government want to support this Goa mining, and the Goa economy is based on that. But then it has been, abused, and even higher grade mixed with the lower grade and then send it to as a nil duty. So those practices are there. So I mean, there is a time that we need to look at whether lower grade needs some duty, and pellet definitely need a duty, I personally feel. So and with these processes, because pellet can be used in the domestic market, and it is heartening to see that so many initiatives taken by NDMC and OMC and increasing the supply their side, and the government's putting new auctions to the mine in Odisha and Karnataka and other places. So those processes will ultimately increase the supply side. India has inherent advantage of the lower cost for the iron ore, because that's the only biggest inherent advantage India has, and that's why we are the cheapest still in the world, even more than the Vietnam. They charge $1,200 or so. We are still $950 per ton. So that advantage should continue. I mean, prices has gone so many. It's not in favor of the industry or in the favor of the government. So I mean, overall economy, the prices of such a high steel is not sustainable, not good rather. But then the pressure has to be come down from the raw material side as well. That helps to ease out, and eventually it will, because if you see the percentage terms, the raw material has gone so many high, while steel has gone 40% up. So these are some of my thought quickly, and I hope ICC has taken a note of the suggestions, and they will be submitting to the government. Before I conclude, I would like to thank you for all the participants and esteemed panelists, giving me for the patient sharing. Thank you very much, Mr. Vishal.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. We will definitely take up these suggestions on behalf of ICC. May I now request Mr. VR Sharma, Managing Director of JSPL. They also have mining operations and are also a buyer of iron ore. So, Mr. Sharma, if I can kindly request you to share your views.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vishalji, and good afternoon to all the distinguished guests and Dr. V.K. Saraswat. Though Mr. Manthi has already left, but I'll not take much of time because we are already running late. So it is, I think we are half an hour late. So only 2-3 points. One is Odisha steel industry and sponge iron industry today is in a very, very bad state, and we are not getting the iron ore. This is one. Most of the iron ore users are crying. The iron ore prices have gone to the roof. I think 500 to 600%. So this is too much a price. And unless a preemption policy comes in the state, it will be very difficult to survive. I mean, we have more than 100 industry in the country, in the Odisha state. Why all these people came to the state? They came only for one purpose, that we will get the raw material. Similarly, in Chhattisgarh also, people came to Chhattisgarh that they will get the iron ore. So I think like Karnataka government has imposed preemption policy. So Odisha government will also have to do preemption policy maybe today or tomorrow. Otherwise, all these local industry will diminish or will finish. Similarly, Chhattisgarh. So the first right, as per the mineral policy, the first right of on minerals belongs to the state. And yes, if after that something is left, that can go to the other states. So it is like, we always speak export. Export does not mean out of country, but export also means out of state. That is also export. So I think the first and foremost thing is that government of Odisha and government of Chhattisgarh, they should re-look into their earlier policy. Odisha had a preemption policy earlier. I think now the time has come to put this preemption policy in Odisha, so that the minerals are available to the local industry. And more steel plants will come in Odisha if this is going to happen. ArcelorMittal has already declared a plant in Odisha. JSW has already declared a plant in Odisha. The moment this pre-emption policy comes, then they will also invest faster. So that will be in the interest of state. Similarly, many more plants, they are likely to come in Chhattisgarh. And if the pre-emption policy comes in Chhattisgarh, they'll also be, the state will be benefited. Today, there people are taking out iron ore from Odisha, just paying royalty. I mean, that can be multiplied by 10 times, and those revenues, if the steel plants, they use iron ore within the state. And anything which is surplus, yes, we must share with the other states. The issues like Goa mining, like Mangalore mining for KIOCL, like Kadapa mining for Andhra Pradesh, and also for Chandrapur belt as well as Jabalpur belt. I mean, these should be resolved so that iron ore may be available to the entire nation at an affordable price. Today's prices are highly unaffordable. In a mineral-rich country like ours, where we have more than 30 billion tons of iron ore, and if the iron ore prices are hovering around 15,000 rupees to 16,000 rupees a ton, this is just too much. I mean, we are creating problem for a common man. Now, this is the reason that the steel consumption is decreasing. In last 2 months, 3 months time, the construction steel like rebar or wire rods or structurals, their consumption has reduced significantly. The only one sector which is going on very well, that is hot rolled coils, and that too is pulled by, demand is pulled by the international market. So if we do not remain for the country, then it will be very difficult. And yes, I agree that on export of pellets, you can put duty, whatever, 15, 20, 30%. But the iron ore should not go out of Odisha. And similarly, the iron ore should not go out of Chhattisgarh till the time the appetite of the domestic industry in Odisha and Chhattisgarh is met out. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Preemption has been done in the past in 2015 when many of the mines were shut. So I think definitely there is a precedence, and that can be one of the solutions. If I may now request Mr. V.K. Saraswat, Honorable Member of the Niti Aayog, to kindly share his views with us. So if you can unmute yourself. So if you can unmute yourself, please.
Sir, आवाज नहीं आ रही.
We can't hear you. Can you just unmute, sir?
डॉक्टर साहब आवाज नहीं आ रही आपकी. डॉक्टर साहब आवाज नहीं आ रही. डॉक्टर साहब.
Yes, sir. Now we can hear you. Yes,
Yes, sir.
we can hear you now. Thank you.
So we have been talking about many things have been discussed since morning. I was, of course, partly present in many of the things, but the major thing that has happened today are the various issues which have been raised by the miners, the steel producers, and all that. But the fact remains that we have come out with many modifications to the mining policy over the last so many years. So I'll just give you a rundown of what is the present status of Indian metals and mining industry, besides, of course, addressing some of the issues which have been raised during the panel. Basically, India is a home to about 1531 operating mines. It has a large reserve of iron ore, bauxite, chromium, manganese, barite, rare earths, and minerals. The country produces almost 95 minerals, 4 fuel-related minerals, 10 metallic minerals, 23 non-metallic minerals, 3 atomic minerals, 55 minerals. And there's a huge demand coming up because of the infrastructure development and automotive production. These are some of the things which are driving the growth of the sector. And India's mineral sector can be characterized as one of the immense potential that is waiting to be tapped. It is not that we have completely taped the entire process. India is endowed with large number of mineral resources and has geological environment for many other countries on account of similarity of geological setting with Australia, South Africa, and South Africa. Economically speaking, actually, the Indian mining sector contributes 1% to our GDP, and mining overall contributes approximately 2% to GDP. In other countries with a similar mineral resource profile like Australia, Canada, South Africa, mining contributes in the range of 8 to 10% to the GDP. So that's the difference. That means we are not doing as much as we can do. Till date, our focus has been on superficial deposits such as iron ore, bauxite, limestone, manganese, chromite, and the lack of exploration of deep-seated deposits has resulted in huge imports of gold, diamond, copper, nickel, platinum, and so on. The iron ore production in India is dominated by 5 states, as since morning we have been talking of: Odisha, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Karnataka, and Goa. 50 to 60% of total iron ore production happens in common region that falls in Odisha and Jharkhand. Of course, the hematite and magnetite in India, these are the two forms. Hematite is considered to be superior because of its higher grade, and it is found in Jharkhand, Odisha, Chhattisgarh region, while also in Goa. Magnetite is majorly found in the southern belt of Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. As per the NSP 2017, on an average, iron ore requirement per ton of hot steel produced through blast furnace is 1.65 ton. Thus, to achieve a 300 million ton steel production, we will still require close to 437 million tons of iron ore through the blast furnace and the blast BOF routes, assumed to be 60 to 65% of the total crude steel production. If you see the iron ore production trend, the domestic production has gone about 13% in about 5 years, from 129 million tons in financial year 2015 to 206 million tons in 2019 at a CAGR of something like 12.4%. And if you take the consumption portion, it has gone up from 115 in 2014-15 to about 160 in 2019. Exports also has gone up from 1.3 to 16 million tons, and imports also is by and large 12. It came down in between, and now it is 12.8. So this is the kind of figure as far as the total business is concerned. India will need to double its iron ore mining capacity by 2030 so as to meet demand as per the NSP 2017. The capacity ramping of pellet making, sinter making, and iron ore beneficiation capacity will need it to be produce requisite quality of inputs for the blast furnace route. Iron ore is consumed in the forms of lumps and fines by its steel industry. Lumps of the size of 10 to 40 millimeter, while fines are less than 10 millimeter. What is the market size? We have to also look at the market size. Iron ore production in the country, as we saw, is 120 million tons by about 2021, November 2020 figure. India had a total number of 914 steel plants producing crude steel. In 21, India's crude steel production increased by 7.4% year on year to reach about 10 million tons. In 2021, NMDC aims to utilize 97% production capacity to manufacture 35 million tons of iron ore. In 21, NMDC's iron ore production stood almost the same. So ArcelorMittal, somebody was talking about it, Nippon Steel, together they want to set up agreement with Odisha government, where they want to set up an integrated plant of almost 12 million ton capacity in Kendrapara for about 50,000 crores. So 2 new iron ore mines were inaugurated in Odisha with a production capacity of 50 lakh tons per month and 275 million tons of consolidated iron ore reserves. These mines will bring in about 5,000 crores and annual revenue for the state and employment opportunities for the large number of locals. There was some discussion on exports. Indian government levied about 30% export duty on all grades of iron ore. Later on, 30% export duty was removed from iron ore less than 58% iron, and keeping in view of exports of iron ore from Goa, which is largely of the lower grade. Now, this has got its implication. Imposing an export duty on selective grades has not helped the country to conserve its iron ore and to reduce the export, which can be seen. You can see that below 15%, 58% iron ore between financial year 17 to 20, that the increase in from 13.3 million tons to almost about 31 million tons. Between 58 and 62, which is the export duty 30%, even there we have an export change going to from 1.2 to 4.5. Even on 62 and above 62 also, it's almost, no, it just slightly come down, 3.8 to 2.8. But overall, if you see that iron ore export has gone up from 18.3 to 38.3 in the last 5 years. And there was a discussion on pellets also, 10.3 to almost 13.9. This is the kind of export that has happened. So it can be seen that 31 million tons of low-grade iron ore fines are exported, which is about 82% of the total iron ore export. Export duty on some specific grades is being resulted ineffective and caused a huge revenue loss to the country due to the following reasons. High-grade iron ore is being circumvented as low-grade in order to save export duty, and high-grade iron ore is being exported in the form of pellets. Now, this is a major disadvantage, and somebody talked about the pellet cost being double that of although the input cost in making pellets is not comparable. So these are some of the aberrations, and I think we'll have to sort them out. As far as the steel sector is concerned, Indian iron and steel is strong moving forward. And we have almost about, it contributes about 1.4 to 2% to GDP, and year on weightage in the official index, production index of about 7.22. So we have very good demand as far as, because the steel industry is demanding a huge amount of iron ore, which we are saying. And this is because of the advantage India what we have, because demand growth is due to the increase in the infrastructure development, power industry, cement industry. Attractive opportunities are coming due to the PLI scheme in the government approved in the outlay of funds of 6,322 crores over 5 years. Policy support in the union budget for MSMEs, and on duty on 7.5 on semis, flat and long products. So that also is going to be, and of course there's a competitive advantage because India holds a fair advantage in cost of production and conversion cost in the steel. So there is a significant business opportunity. So we had the National Steel Policy, which was formulated by the Ministry in 2017. It envisages the per capita steel consumption to go from 160 by 2000 to 160 by 2013, from the existing almost about 74. And even rural consumption of the steel, we expect it to go from current 19.6 to something like 38%. And there's a major effort in that direction by about 2030-31. So this translates to a crude steel capacity of 300 million tons by 2030 in comparison to the current level of 142 million tons in 22. The demand for finished steel also consistently grown at an annual rate of about 6.4 and has reached 99 million tons per annum over 5 years. So keeping in mind the importance of steel in scaling India, the Ministry of Steel has defined a 5-year vision in order to shape and drive the Indian steel sector. There was a discussion on the taxation structure, and I saw that because we have seen as the state GST, which is about on iron ore about 2.5%, then there is royalty on iron ore about 15%, DMF is 4.5%, and central taxes 2.5, import duty 10, export duty 30, and NMET 0.3. This is what is happening in the iron ore, and certainly at places there is a two-stage auction process, which is there in the steel and raw materials, has historically been slow, with unrealistically high premiums, increasing the tax burden. Studies have indicated the total levies on 65% iron lumps have increased from rupees 700 in 2015 to about 3,015 in 3,500 in 2017. The royalty structure on iron ore in India is high compared to other economies, which reduces cost competitiveness of steel in international market. Countries like Australia, Brazil, South Africa, and USA have lower royalties. Import duties on finished steel range in India is 15%, whereas in North America, Canada, and USA have a higher import tariff for most countries, about 20 to 25%. So there are major challenges which are being faced today. Auctioning of iron ore mining leases. The current two-stage auction process has historically been slow with unrealistically high premiums. Even after 3 years of the auction process, no large mine granted through auction has been able to commence production. Out of the nearly 100 attempts made by the state governments, only 53 mines have been auctioned till date, and a mere 3 small mines have been able to commence production. Of course, you have a major problem of supply of coking coal. You have a major problem of logistics infrastructure, which costs significantly, and logistics has gone up by about from 4.6% on coal and iron ore to about 5.3% during the same period. Then you have a problem of land acquisition and approval delays. On an average, it takes about 4 to 5 years to get mining rights in India compared to less than 6 months for some of the world's largest mining economies. So land acquisition has historically been challenging in India, and it has become more difficult with the latest amendment to land acquisition bill. Increased requirement for consent, 80% for private players and 70% for public players, can also lead to delays. Increased compensation, 4 times for the rural areas and 2 times for the urban areas, increases the cost of acquisition for the mining players. Taxation structure, on top of the auction premium, 20.5% taxes and royalties are applicable for iron ore mining, which we discussed. And of course, technology. Certainly our technology of mining, that itself is a major drawback today because we have not kept pace with the changes which are happening in terms of use of digital, use of automation, use of, and the pressure which is going to come on you for cleaner mining systems due to the sustainability requirement, both for beneficiation, coal beneficiation, and blast furnace productivity. So these are another thing which I certainly want to discuss here is the size of the blast furnaces. 66% of the blast furnace capacity in India is spread across 27 plants with less than 2,000 million tons capacity, contributes to only 13% of the total production in India, while 7 large plants account for 61% of the total production. So average size of the blast furnace in India is small, impacting the productivity. And that's why we have a threat of import from China because of the cost structure. It is important the government introduce minimum import price on 170 steel products, resulting in decrease of import from China from 3 million tons in Q4 2015 to 1.8 2016. There are key policy reforms in the mining sector which were brought out in 2000 and further amendment in 2021. The amendment facilitated increasing production from existing blocks, removal of the restriction on transfer of mining lease, captive mines allowed to sell mineral in the open market, explanation of the term without lawful authority in section 5 to clarify imposition of penalty for illegal mining, transfer of clearances of the lapsed terminals, 5-year period for PSU blocks to sign mining lease, mandating production and dispatch within 2 years of mining lease, removal of distinction between captive and non-captive mine leases, resolving the pending cases under section 10A to B, which are the saved cases from the previous allocation regime, empowering central government to auction the saved blocks, relaxation of norms for exploration of blocks, auctioning of mining lease at G3 level, and so on. So, in other words, I would say with all these modifications and the kind of major initiative taken by the government and the industry today together, by 2050, almost 1/5 of the steel produced globally is expected to come from India, compared to around 5% today. And India is already the world's second largest steel producing country and is expected to increase its annual production volume by 2050 by an amount equivalent to twice that of Europe Union total production in 2019. So COVID-19 crisis is of course hitting the country's steel industry hard, but the underlying factors that point to the growth in future, a population whose number and prosperity are growing, a proven commitment to economic reforms, and the government's push for improving competitiveness and the supportive policy environment for the industry, if this will still persist, and that will certainly help us in achieving our goal of 300 million tons, and as well as making all the process right from mining to steel production most competitive, useful for the industry and useful for the nation. I close here. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Saraswat. I think I would like to take this opportunity to thank all our panelists, Mr. Deepak Mohanty, Mr. P.K. Satpathy, Mr. Sabyasachi Mohanty, Mr. Gajendra Pratap Singh, Mr. V.R. Sharma, and Dr. Saraswat for an extremely lively session, and a lot of suggestions have come in place. I would request Nilanjan to kindly compile some of these suggestions to send it to the respective state governments and to the Government of India. Thank you very much. I'll hand it back to Nilanjan.
Thank you so much, sir. I would like to thank each and every speaker for this session, and especially Mr. Vishal Agarwal for moderating the session so well and in time. A special thanks to Dr. V.K. Saraswat, Mr. V.R. Sharma, Mr. Sabyasachi Mohanty, Mr. Gajendra Pratap Singh, Mr. Deepak Mohanty, and Mr. P.K. Satpathy. We'll start the next session right away within a minute. I would request now Dr. N.K. Nanda, Mr. Prashant Saha, Mitra, to kindly join us. Dr. Nanda?
I'm there.
Okay, sir, this session will be moderated by Dr. N.K. Nanda, so I would request you to kindly start the session. Dr. Nanda, you may take over from here.
Yeah, okay, give me 1 minute.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Nilanjan.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Fine, fine, thank you. So should we start this session now?
Yeah, please, sir. All yours.
Okay. So I understand that there will be 3 speakers, including me, in this session.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you will be telling the profiles of the speakers because the profiles of the speakers are not with me.
So, okay, I will just announce the profile of the speakers.
Yeah. So let me start with myself. I am Dr. N.K. Nanda. Yeah.
So we have
I
with
can
us
introduce
today
myself.
Dr. N.K. Nanda, who is the former Director Technical of NMDC Limited. Sir is associated with ICC for quite a long time, and he has been very supportive in all the ICC initiatives since past. We also have with us Mr. Prashant Saha, who is the E&M Industry Business Senior Consultant from Dassault Systems, Mr. C.P. Agarwal, a Director of SMC Power, and Mr. Sanjay Mitra, Vice President of Amalgam Steel. You may start now, Dr. Nanda.
Okay. So I again welcome to all the three speakers, Mr. Saha, Mr. Agarwal, and Mr. Mitra. I think I will be giving my presentations fast, and then all the three speakers will continue, and then at the end I will try, not able, to sum up the things. Actually, sometimes I feel that getting little late is always the advantage, because when I thought of joining around 10 minutes or 5 minutes before 1:30, because the 1:30 was the session to start, I found that Dr. V.K. Saraswat ji, member Niti Aayog, was giving the summing up. It was so wonderful summing up, and he has given so much inputs to all the participants and the professionals and the dignitaries present here. I think he has explained almost everything in metal and mining sector, and the way forward and the path and what is happening. So I will request Niranjan to put my presentation or give me power of sharing. Okay, can I share my screen, or you will put up the my presentation?
Yes, sir. Now you can share.
Are you able to see my presentation? Hello?
Yes, sir, we can. Please carry on, sir.
Okay. So, in fact, I pick up from what Dr. Saraswat told in the summing up. The mining and the metal sector is looking a bright future because of the number of relaxations, number of age of doing business is being maneuvered and monitored and aggressively implemented by the government. So one of the things I wanted to say that startups are also one route or in a path for improvement in metals and mining sector, and I will emphasize on mining because the mining is little, as it was told, that is not picking up in digital and also not picking up in automation. For us, the traditional mining companies, they are not very well equipped because of their tradition with the digitalization in mining. So it is a optimum actual time to go for supporting startups who are good in it instead of doing everything. So I get inspiration from the vision of New India by 2030 by Government of India, highlighting the 10 core dimensions of growth. That itself describes the expected growth needs of new technology having strategic implications are not always available commercially. And therefore, it is necessary to do our indigenous technology. And I think this is a real platform for the startups to grow. I think I will be just take a few seconds to define what is a startup. A startup is a team of entrepreneurial talent developing new innovations in identifiable and investable form in progress to validate and capture the value of the created innovation with ambition to grow fast and a scalable business model for a maximum impact. Some also define it like that. A young company founded by one or more entrepreneurs to develop a unique product or service and bring it to market. And we know that in past, so many startups have started with a small initiative and it has become a big one. And who does not know that the bookstore has become a largest e-commerce business in the world. Companies leverage the companies can leverage the innovative services provided by the startups instead of investing everything by themselves. So what the startups can add in significant value, because the startups are small, so that they are agile, they are nimble, they are innovative, can keep pace with rapidly changing technology. The area which can be covered by startups is service, product solution, environment, finance, operation and infrastructure, and also human resource. I was going through the expert rating of entrepreneurial framework conditions. There is a global entrepreneur monitoring. They are monitoring in all different aspects of entrepreneurship in all countries in the world, and I found that India is doing very well. The orange color is what is the average of global entrepreneurship monitoring, and India is the blue color. And there are so many parameters, and one or two parameters which has been identified to do very well comparing to other countries is research and development in India. Though we all feel that research and development in India is not picking up, but it is third in the competition, third in the ranking. So I will say, because research and development is one area which the startups can always and evaluating the startup potential. I think these are different aspects of one cube, that is making opportunity from small to big, making marketing from too early and to good, a team commitment from low to high, like this, team structure from balancing skills to solo to balancing skill, scalability from low to high. It moves. Key characteristic of the startups is that it focused on growth because of its size, more than one person, and not very many number of employees, maybe not more than 500. And they work with technology and they are innovative. Here I like to say that once you start the startup, when we start a startup, it looks like the left side of the picture, and it has so many parameters like education, innovation, then local values, then economic value, ethics, and all when you assemble, it becomes the other picture, which. So if you think of mining, I think already Dr. Saraswat has told so many things about the mining sector in India. So I will also repeat the same thing. Mining sector's contribution in Indian economy is 2%, and it is supposed to become 7%, and in other countries like 7%, 10%. Mining has a potential to provide 12% of non-farm jobs out of 150 million by 2025. The challenge is how to ensure that these youth become strong assets to build the nation. Innovation through startup in the mining and mineral sector is the answer. What a mining sector startup can start with, that is operational analytics, intra-company knowledge base, supply chain, and predictive maintenance. I will elaborate one line for each, that operational analytics, that our mining companies, they lot of data we are generating, and but we are doing very few analysis of the data to improve productivity, to improve utilization equipment, to improve the operation ways and means. I think analysis of the data is a must, and now it is improving day by day in mining companies by incorporating ERP, and some of the mining are also vehicle fleet management systems, and somebody has introduced MTCS, the transportation service and surveillance and service. So all these things are part of this operational analytics. And then two intra-company, like in one company, there will be so many departments, so many projects, and including them, they can also make competition. Supply chain and predictive maintenance with artificial intelligence. I like to say that our maintenance system in mining is not yet picked up the automated digitalization available in the world platform. And artificial intelligence is one area which can be very strongly used for predictive maintenance. I know that some of the advanced sensors which are used by wireless, they can be put into the equipment, and they transfer the data to dashboard for proper analysis and proper knowledge. And these startups can take up all this small one side of this and provide it to the big companies. And startup in mining system, that is knowledge, we can get it from universities, supply chain facilitators, and capital we can get bootstrapping, venture capital, angel investors. Sometimes the startup promoters are very need for capital. So these are the areas where they can get capital. And companies, owner innovation and owner challenges. And actually, in fact, are more up the owner challenge, and they challenge themselves and take it to a higher level. In a mining life cycle, one should develop and then testing and what you are trying, and then it becomes to industry, and then it is a stable production, and then out for different implementation in large scale. During this, the first three, it has been terminated as Death Valley. That means here we need work norms, work terms in building, training and trying and financing. These three we have to make stronger. Otherwise, the startup may not go up. So if you can assemble all these things, this will have a growth. And services provided by technology-driven startups. That is a list of this. I have collected it from Google, like robotics, drones, 3D printing, and so many things can be possible in and service provided by infrastructure, environment, human resource, finance, and operation-driven startups. That is remote water monitoring, waste management, online training for mining companies. Today, we have all seen the power of online education, and the full potential of the online communication has been realized by everyone. Intelligent infrastructure for mining plants, advanced process control for mineral processing, smart mine production, powerfully simplistic planning for mines, and efficient, accurate, and critical. So opportunities for startup in mining sector, all these things. Already we have discussed so many that the mining industry is looking up, and the iron ore production itself is going to be increased, and the per capita steel consumption is also going to be increased. And as it was told that there is a lot of relaxations, a lot of like in G3 level exploration is also allowed now. So that will definitely encourage people to come up in different countries, like in Australia. Junior mining companies, they do a lot of exploration and then hand over it to the big companies who can take it forward for production and exploitation. So this type of startups can also come in India to do a lot of exploration work. So I would like to say that very recently, in the beginning of this year, we have seen that Government of India has started that deep ocean mission as part of the blue economy, and to explore deep ocean for resources and develop sea technologies. But because what I wanted to give this an example, the sea technologies are very new to India, and for us, this can be one area for the selection by the startups. A research vessel for a deep ocean exploration will be built in India, Indian shipyard, creating employment opportunities and spur the growth of Indian industry, especially for startups and MSME. Why I'm using these two words? Because these are is published in the government portal, that the government is very much interested, very much encouraging startups and MSME to come up and improve and help the big industries. So with this, I would like to thank you, ICC, for giving me this opportunity to express my thoughts. And one more thing, I always tell that skill development is one area where we can do a lot of things, and government is also giving a lot of initiatives to do skill development. With this, I invite the next speaker. I think the Nilanjan may please now take over. Thank you. Hello.
Mr. Prashant
Hello.
Shah. Mr. Prashant Shah, kindly.
Yes, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Prashant
Yeah.
Sahaji, we can hear you.
Can I get the sharing right, please?
Mr. Nilanjan, can you introduce the speaker, Mr. Prashant Saha?
Yes, give me.
Also, I would request if you can give me the screen sharing rights. Thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Dr. Nanda, for bringing the very pertinent topics of startups in mining. And as of now, we have seen the growth of startups in mining is very insignificant in comparison to the other developing countries like in Australia, Canada, Africa, those countries. So there is huge opportunity to promote the startups, and not only for the services, but for the innovation and developing new technology. So thank you, Dr. Nanda, for introducing the concept of startups and how the mining organization can support them. And today, as far as my topic is concerned, I am going to cover integrated mine planning and execution to enhance productivity. So sorry, I'm not able to change the screen. Can someone help me to how to change the screen, because the sharing mode is not.
Sir, we have already given you the shared option. You can share the screen.
Yeah, that's correct. Let me.
Sir, go to the slide show option, top of the taskbar. There is an option for slide show.
Yeah, share is there, and assign, mute, stop video, participant chat.
No, sir. That in your presentation, please go to your presentation slide.
Can you see my slides?
Yes, we were able to see. You share your screen first, sir.
Can you see my screen now?
No, sir. Please share. Share
We are
is in
not able to
the
see your
bottom of
screen.
your screen. The share
You have gone
option
out of
is
the
in
screen
bottom.
sharing, I think.
Yeah, we can now
Can you?
see your screen. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Sir, go to the slide show option of your slides of the PPT presentation, sir.
Is it okay now?
Yeah.
Can you
Yes,
see the
sir.
agenda?
Now is yes, right, sir. We can see that.
Okay, thank you very
Yeah.
much, and sorry for that confusion. And I have
Welcome.
structured my presentation today, an introduction about Dassault Systems and the objective of integrated mine planning and how it can help enhance the productivity, the current challenges the mining industry is facing as far as the mine planning is concerned, the traditional mine planning versus the future, what is expected from the mine planners to remain competitive in the global market, and what is the DS approach to achieve that, and finally the conclusions. So in introduction, let me introduce our company, Dassault Systems. Dassault Systems is basically a technology company combining with art, science, and technology, and with the purpose of harmonizing product, nature, and life. This is a French multinational with annual revenue more than 4 billion euro and market capitalizations nearly 40 billion euro. We are 20,000 people in the organization, and nearly 5,000 of them is in India. So we have got our one of the largest R&D center, which itself is more than 3,000 people. We have got our sales and support offices across India, like in Mumbai, Bangalore, Kolkata, Chennai, Pune, Gurgaon. And we have got more than 13,000 partners globally, including system integrators and consultant agencies. And our technology is being used by more than 300,000 customers with more than 25 million users throughout the globe. And we address to 11 industries with our 3D experience platform, which is empowered with different applications in 3D modeling, in networking and collaborations, in information intelligence and data analytics, and simulations and virtual reality. And out of these 11 industries, I am going to focus mainly on energy and materials industry, because mining is part of our energy and materials industry. So in energy and material industry, what we saw, it is mining, metals and minerals, oil and gas, chemicals, and power. And as far as the planning is concerned, planning is applicable to any industries, but integrated mine planning. So let me focus on the mining industry. So the objective of any integrated mine planning is to achieve a greater safety and excellence in the operational performance, improve productivity and reduce leakage, robust strategic and business decision making, to keep a track of global top ranked factors affecting the mining industry and achieve sustainability. In traditional mine planning, our focus remains so far life of the mine plan, as well as 5-year plan to get an statutory approvals to start the mining. So various factors, which is very relevant today, is not addressed, but time has come those factors to be considered while doing the mine planning. So the challenge is with the traditional approach and the current mining technology, what we observed in not only India, even the global mining industry, we are physical entity focused, and there are repetitive job, less productivity, less safety, less automation and data analytics, and few or non-compliances of the whether a planned target or the statutory compliances or the regulatory compliances, and too much production focused. So the moment, even as you know that even this unprecedented times of pandemic, fortunately the infrastructure industry is doing well, and mining industry is under tremendous pressure to meet the huge production target to the end user industry. So the planning, if is not done properly, so definitely the ultimate target of sustainability for the mining industry, which everybody spoke, I think that will be defeated. So what is that? The increased stakeholders, the current, the traditional stakeholders, and the future mining stakeholders. What I have tried to address in traditional mine planning, the 3 core departments like earth modeling, earth design and engineering, and earth resource management, and where both strategic and tactical the planning is being addressed. And particularly our earth modeling, what we do, we prepare the block model by using various mine planning software. And Indian mining industry, whether it is metal or coal, our software is being widely utilized, like Serpac, Minex, for creating 3D model and preparing the block model. The main inputs, what we are taking from the exploration drilling or some infill drilling. And similarly for mine designing, the traditional factors are the constraint, what we consider like bench height, BOM width, bench angle, ramp width, gradient, etc. And then scheduling, tonnage, grade, life of mine, the 5-year plan, annual plan, drill and blasting, equipment selection, etc. But these are the three departments who are responsible to deliver and consider those kind of constraints, and finally produce a robust mine plan to share it with the operation department. There is a lot of lack of collaboration and the integrations. But the modern mining, what it's looking for, without the integration between the stakeholders, achieving the current target, remain the competitive will be very difficult. And what is the future target? Like what we have seen in Indian mining industry, we do life of mine planning, and from life of mine planning we get the 5-year plan, and from there we get the annual plan. But after that, the utilization of the technology is very little, and mostly it is an Excel based and very siloed approach. And if we want to do that, monitor what is exactly happening during the operation stage, during the execution stage, and what we have planned. So we take out a 12-month rolling plan, and from that we do a quarterly plan, and from that we do a weekly plan, and then daily plan. And then what are the additional data we are generating during this execution stage as per the annual plan or the 3 months plan? Like we generated additional data like blast hole samplings, geophysical signatures, and with the help of application of AI ML, we can strategic geological model and strategic resource model can be updated with the latest information, so that blast hole samples or any new informations we are collecting, or the uncertainties captured during the operation stage, so that my 3D model is more robust. And the moment my block model is ready and modified, it goes to the engineering department, and they consider the new things. Like nowadays, if you need to be sustainable, so the global demand is that cleaner energy. So you're talking about energy mix and rock engineering, geotechnical properties, the safety, the throughput, the skill of the workforce with the new technology, the compliance or the influence of the industry 4.0 or the new technology, which is bringing the physical layer of the operations to the business layers and connecting with them, and the infrastructures and the pit optimization, which is very rare in the Indian mining industry, and the technology what Dassault systems offer. So those technology utilization, like for pit optimization, we have the technology like Whittle mining software. Very little utilizations are there, and from that, ultimate pit, the optimized pushback designs, which are very much relevant for short-term management of your blocks and the grade control. That may be the need of the future mine planning, and to have a right decisions and meet the ultimately the end user requirements. And when the scheduling comes, we have seen that what planning we have done for the 1-year plan, and what is actually required, and what the operation is doing, there is a huge gap. So to establish this gap, to bridge this gap, we must connect the operation with the the short-term scheduling, and what are the constraints which have not considered during the strategic scheduling or the 12-year plan, 12 months plan, like stockpile constraint, blending constraints, supply chain constraints, market uncertainty, the fluctuating commodity prices, end users expectations, and new business model, like what the traditional model we used to follow. Now, because of the production pressure and the the MDO concept, and mainly volume driven business, where we are, it's very difficult to comply the annual plan and keep a track of the what's happening in the field. So so the next concept is the reconciliation. Are we able to do the reconciliation on near real time or in real time? So that reconciliation will be established only when the daily operations or the mine execution has established a connectivity with the short-term planning, medium-term planning, and the strategic planning. So it's a dynamic planning, and it's get updated right from the short-term planning feedback. It goes to the strategic planning, and we get a new feedback. And my 3D model, which is coming from that, which is asset, I must know my assets, the mineral assets, the equipments in real time, what is that positions, and are we addressing the various constraints in right manner considering the current situations. So what is the approach Dassault Systems in this? So we have kept the capacity to map all the elements of the mining value chain, right from exploration, geology, strategic planning, drill and blast, grade control, blending optimizations, tactical planning, production planning, operation management, and reconciliations through this 3D experience platform. So all these individual applications are residing on this platform so that user is able to access with the basis of the role, defined role, whether it is a earth modeling or earth engineering or earth resource management. They are all in a single platform, and they can produce a robust mine plan for strategic as well as tactical decision making. So various solutions, what is there in our portfolio, right from the capital facilities projects and life cycle management, that is during any greenfield project or brownfield projects for expansion of the projects, what kind of project monitoring systems, and you get all the product, whether it is construction intelligence, whether engineering intelligence or asset intelligence, you get in a single platform. Similarly, resource life cycle management, resource portfolio, evaluation modeling, strategic mine planning and design, and lab excellence, because either during the exploration or during the operations, we generate a lot of data, and majority of the data even today is being analyzed by the laboratory. So we wait wait chemical analysis or XRF or XRD, but the new technologies has come up, whether it is a image analysis or geophysical signatures through the application of artificial intelligence and machine learning, how quickly we can get those results and update my operation team where exactly we need to mine. And then operation lifecycle management, where we talk the planning and production and scheduling, connect each other and bring the operational excellence. So this is the workflow of the integrated planning and interfaces, where you get the strategic mine planning and strategic mine design, as well as strategic resource modeling, then connects with the operation mine design and tactical mine planning. Then it goes to short-term resource modeling and short-term production scheduling, and for the mining executions, mine scheduling and mine executions, and then the production intelligence. So this, the entire workflow or the value chain and all the applications and each box are available in the platform, and it can get connected with the relevant stakeholders. So what we offer, the DS integration landscape at the center, is the 3D experience platform, and this platform integrates with the various applications. It starts with the ERP, like you might be having SAP or Oracle or whatever, maybe the ERP. That connectivity is maybe most of the mining organizations has got the ERP, but the connectivity with the operational technologies is not there. So there is the time has come, we must connect them and establish a connectivity between the ERP and operational technology, whether it is a fleet management system, whether it is a laboratory information management system, whether weighbridge management system, whether maintenance management system, or data historian, mine optimizations, or mine planning, on mine scheduling. So we should be able to interact with the individual applications and establish a dependency for one application on the other, and take the corrective measures so that correct actions is taken in right time and right decision is taken from the relevant stakeholders. So in conclusions, we'd like to mention that mine planning is central in strategic and tactical business decision making, and we must give full emphasis, full thrust. It cannot be ignored, and all the constraints need to be considered. With shifting focus from production to productivity, requirement is integration of entire mining value chain to improve flow of information throughout the mine planning process. Consider a period that covers a full commodity price cycle, because boom and bust we have seen in the mining, and it is very important that when to invest and when not to invest. That market uncertainty or market information should be considered during the mine planning process, and it should be at the tip of the mine planners. So increasing influence of Industry 4.0. So mine planners should consider what the technology is advancing and what are the need of the current, and so the planning has to be considered that 4.0 that is that Internet of Things, the industrial Internet of things, sensors based technology, connectivity, those kind of things should be considered, and what kind of infrastructure is required. Like for fleet management system, you need to establish a radio wireless radio network, and you cannot, because there's a huge investment is required to develop those kind of infrastructure, and you cannot change those infrastructure every now and then. So it is very important that has to be connected during the mine planning process, so that I need not to reinvest again and again, and it is aligned with my production schedule. It aligns with my grade control and what is the customer requirement, and achieve sustainability, but aligning with the challenges of both upstream and downstream industries, like what is my end customers requirement I must align, and what kind of technology they are adopting and what is their expectations. So mining industry should be aware of that, and this should start at the mine planning stage itself. Consider stochastic or dynamic mine planning. As I mentioned, the time has come. We must consider dynamic mine planning, and it should be able to talk with the operations and the planning on near real time, on the real time. Mine planning must consider impact of factors pertaining to regulatory, environmental, geopolitical, and non-market uncertainty. And integration and collaboration through single platform is the key for survival. And through 3DS platform, that's we offer this integration and collaboration to manage all the stakeholders in the value chain for the survival and sustainability. So with that, thank you very much for your time, and thank you ICC for giving this opportunity to us.
Thank you, Mr. Prasancha. An excellent presentation on mine digitalization and introduction of mine planning, integrated mine planning system. Dassault system is always in the forefront. During my last so many years, I am in mining. So Mr. Nilanjan may now take over.
Thank you, Nanda sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shah. So, sir, now we have the last speaker for this session, Mr. Sanjay Mitra from Amalgam Steel. Mr. Mitra? Mr. Sanjay Mitra, can you please unmute? Ananda, can you check? Mr. Sanjay Mitra is there?
Yes, yeah, he has joined, but let me check once.
I have also seen him.
না না আনমিউট করা আছে কিন্তু ইয়ে হচ্ছে না, আমি একদম শুনতে পাচ্ছি না। আনমিউট তো আমি করে দিয়েছি।
We can hear you, Mr. Mitra. We can hear you. আপনি শুনতে পাচ্ছেন?
বাফারিং করছে। হ্যালো।
Yes, so you keep the video off. হ্যাঁ, আর আপনি ভিডিও অফ করে বলুন, otherwise there is a tethering issue. I think there's a network issue in your place.
Hello.
We can hear you clearly. Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello.
Yeah,
sorry,
please
I'm not able to hear anything.
But we can hear you. You can carry on.
No, unmute is there already. Unmute done.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello.
Hello.
হ্যাঁ, কিন্তু ব্রেক করছে সাউন্ড, আমি একটাও শুনতে পাচ্ছি না সাউন্ড। হ্যালো। আমি ট্রাভেলিং এ আছি না। এনিওয়ে।
Mr. Mitra, we can hear you.
হ্যালো, শোনা যাচ্ছে কি আমাকে?
Yes, yes.
হ্যাঁ, নিরঞ্জন, হ্যালো, একদম আওয়াজ ব্রেক। ওকে, ওকে, হ্যাঁ, 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 ওকে। This is Sanjay Mitra. I am here in presence in favor of amalgam steel, and it is an integrated plant, and we are having the iron ore mines as well as iron ore manufacturing unit in Jamshedpur and other places in different state of Odisha as well as in the Raipur area. So we are producer of the iron ore. We are having the two iron ore properties and doing our own mining and sending to our plant for making the pellet as well as the DRI. We have the DRI units. So far the topic, today's topic is for given to me is the mining. So in iron ore mines, recently we have secured from the auction process with the high premium. And so mining constraint, we are facing a lot of mining constraint. The iron ore, so far iron ore is concerned, we are facing to cut short because of most of the my preceders are already covered the most of the problems in the iron ore mining. And directly what we are facing in the mining industry at present, because of the evacuation of the mining raw material as well as the disposals of the off-grade material, because the off-grade material nowadays, it is getting accumulated in the mine itself, and we are unable to not cater to the any customers because we don't have the customer, neither we are able to use. So it is that present call of the time should develop a beneficiation of this ore to use on value additions of this material. The iron ore, so far iron ore is concerned, as we in the national interest, we have seen that in the national policy, the target was set for 2030 and 31, the steel capacity to be produced in 300 metric ton, 300 million ton steel. For that, our requirement of the iron ore, overall iron ore requirement will be nearly 450 million ton per annum. To cater this requirement in India, the total resources of the iron ore, what we studied and know that estimated reserve is nearly 28 billion ton, whereas the hematite is 17 billion ton only, and most of the Indian steel makers are using hematite. So this stock is not last for more than 25 or 30 years unless we target to use the lower category of iron ore that is getting accumulated in the different mines across the India, and especially the slime fines and the BHQ, BHJ, whatever is accumulated in the mines, huge volume of it is lying in their mines. We are unable to handle this volume of the low grade material, and it is very essential right now for looking into the different beneficiation process so that we can use as value-added product and cater our iron ore requirement across the India. So I just wanted to highlight in this here that this is the beneficiation is a necessity of the time, and we all industrialists and all technical teams, we should look into it and really we should go for the further investment to look into the R&D to develop some better technology
cost-effective technology, because now the technology available in India mostly, it is not very cost-effective and not users-friendly, because disposal of the slime and the low-grade material and requirement of the water is also very land. It is very difficult to cater by the industry. So this is the time I just advocate in this. We should look into there. As a miner also, we are facing the problem for disposal of the low-grade iron ore and even use of the low-grade. However, we in our industry, we are trying to use even BMQ, BSJ to grind it is the much different mess, and by magnetic separator, we are trying to recover some. It is in a very
Mr. Mitra, we can't hear you.
Why Mr. Mitra was traveling, he was telling, but the subject he was discussing is very interesting in view of the mining today, because mineral processing, as I understand, is the key to mineral conservation, and mineral conservation is the key to sustainability. And I think Mr. Mitra will be continuing. He's coming up now.
Let us wait for a while.
Hello, I am audible?
Yeah, please carry on.
And secondly, I just wanted to highlight one thing. As a miner, we are facing the problem, the logistic constraint, because evacuation is a major mining area. We are facing problem for the evacuation of the ore from the mines to the users industry because of the high logistic cost of the road freight, road congestion, road conditions, and even the connectivity to the railway sidings and all. So this to be addressed properly, as a mining industry, we are really stuck up, and the industry also not able to cope up with the high logistic cost, because especially in the Odisha, transporting from the mine site to railway siding itself is costing nearly 600 rupees, which is very, very high. And iron ore price has already gone sky high. So as a miner, we have taken the mines in much higher premium. So it affecting our overall cost, obviously, because the IBM price also reflecting every month it is going higher and higher. So overall, the mining equation is coming not viable, even after securing the mine at much higher cost. So these are the problem we should look into it, and industry should address, because it is mining is the first stage of the steel making. So unless we sustain in proper viable manner, then steel industry will always affected. So these are the small thoughts, because I am not able to connect properly. I'm sorry for that. Because in our mines is located in the Odisha, where the railway as well as the road connectivity is very poor, and it is known to everybody. That is why I just wanted to highlight all these issues, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was really a good effort, I should say. In spite of you have been traveling and teethering issues, still you could connect. Now I request Dr. Nanda to kindly consolidate, and then we can wrap up the session. Already we are running out of time, sir.
Thank you, Nilanjan, Mr. Nilanjan. I think this session has only 3 speakers, me, and Mr. Prasad Saha and Mr. Sanjay Mitra. I think both of them has carried over from me what I was telling about startups, and Mr. Prasad Saha topic was about integrated mine planning and execution to enhance productivity. Actually, what he said about their use of the Dassault system, 3D modeling and simulation, and why so? Because instead of thinking of production, now we should think of productivity. By improving productivity, greater safety. Now that is a challenge to the traditional approach. So he made a very good comparison between traditional and future stakeholders, exploration drilling in versus earth modeling. And their Dassault system will give statistic and tactical.
Dr. Nanda, you are on mute. Dr. Nanda, you are on mute.
Okay, okay. In fact, the session was only 3 speakers, one myself and Mr. Prashant Shah and Mr. Sanjay Mitra. And Mr. Prashant Shah initially started with integrated mine planning and execution to enhance productivity. What he focused is that in the traditional system, we are more focused toward production, but he says that now it is the paradigm shift and it should go for increasing productivity, improve productivity and greater safety. And that is a challenge for the traditional approach. The Dassault system, what is giving 3D modeling, simulation, and all these will be helpful to the mine owners to achieve greater safety and improve productivity. What he also presented a very interesting comparison between increased stakeholder traditional versus future. That is, earlier we were taking exploration drilling. Now he said that is earth modeling. And earlier we were saying scheduling. He is now saying is earth resource management. So that means more of the things of strategic and tactical approach will be now the takeaway for the mine owners. And earlier we were doing very little reconciliation, but using this digital system, we can real-time reconciliation is possible. And that includes pit optimization, which is very rare in Indian mines, what he said. And because of the fluctuating commodity pricing, it has become a must for the mine owners to go for the integrated mining system, because dynamic system integration is the now key. ERP, and when you have in a mine different subjects, how his system can integrate all, like mine planning, mine scheduling, and all the integration and collaboration through a single platform. He says it is the key to the survival. So with this, he has wrapped up his presentation, and I think he has given a lot of input for the mining industry, that the traditional way has to go, and more efficient and more productive way has to come, and this can come by adopting new technology, and my favorite point that through startup. And Mr. Sanjay Mitra, I must congratulate him for his interest in the subject, because he was in a remote mine area in Odisha, and Odisha, we all know that it is the highest producer of iron ore in the country, and most of the mines are located in the Odisha, in the northern Odisha, and perhaps he is one of the mine now. That is why his connectivity is very poor, and that also says the state of affairs. He said about 2 things, that is raw material disposal and raw material utilization, and raw material utilization and the utilization of low grade mineral, and for him it is low grade iron ore. And this utilization of low grade iron ore is being discussed for a long time in the industry, starting from the different alternative steel technology is also giving different avenues for using of this low grade iron ore. But he is insisting that instead of by that we can go for beneficiation of low-grade iron ore to enrich the mineral. And earlier also I said that the beneficiation of or mineral processing is the key to mineral conservation, and mineral conservation is the key to sustainability. So his topic or the point he said or the touched is very, very imperative to be taken up. And I understand when ICC is making a compilation of all these recommendations or the suggestions, they should add this, that the mineral processing for low-grade iron ore or low-grade mineral on the whole is to be given more importance in our system. And he also said about that effective technology and environment-friendly technology is now the call of the day. And high logistics cost, he was more and more emphasizing, giving emphasis on that because of the remoteness of the mines, the railway connectivity, the road connectivity is not up to the mark, and the cost of transportation is very high. And I also say that even I had just come across an article on this logistic startups, and there will be so many options, and you can go into the different mode of transportation by taking iron ore out of your mine. So even we also hear about the Sagarmala, and why not iron ore go by rivers, etc. Most of the things he was also saying that after auction, when a auctioneer takes a mine with a high premium, and unless he optimize the things, optimize the production, optimize the cost, and with the help of the government and government giving more infrastructure for moving out the iron ore, the mineral, or the product, how they can cope up with the cost for which they have quoted while taking the mine and auction. That is a very you can say a serious issue to be discussed today in mining industry, because auctions is going to be there, and the mining industry has to live with auctions. Though I have seen many conferences going on topic on this auction and first come first serve basis, but in my opinion, auction is one of the best method of allocating mine transparently. So with this, I think the session is coming to a close, and my subject of startup I have already explained. So thank you, Mr. Nilanjan, for giving me this opportunity, and thank you ICC team for giving this opportunity to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for conducting the session so well. Once again, I would like to thank Mr. Sanjay Mitra, Mr. Prashant Saha, and Dr. Nanda. We were slightly out of time, but again, the discussions were so intriguing that we would love to have continued. Once again, I would like to thank all our sponsors, all the panelists, and all the delegates to be with us since morning. I would also like to thank our friends from media. Look forward to see you all in the 11th edition of the India Minerals and Metals Forum. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, ICC, and thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Prasanta.